If you like, normal people say live,
Sure.
but because we're fancy, we could say leave a.
Leave A. Is that French or is that just made up?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's the right answer. It's always yes.
Yes. Exactly. Okay. Looks like we are live and things are good in theory. Everything always looks good, but there's always something I overlooked, so we'll just wait. We'll just wait for chat to tell me all the things that I'm doing wrong as usual.
Yeah, get my volume up and turn yours down or whatever it is.
I haven't changed our volume in weeks. It should still be fine. It was fine last stream. Should be okay.
Come on.
Now we just wait for the bot.
Starston's there. Hello. Hello.
Early birds. Woo. Hello to you, Starston. How are you fellas doing?
And we've got Sleeperky8. I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Sleep poke? Huh?
Sleeperky8. Hello, fellas. Yeah. Well, yeah. You can tell me I'm wrong. You can tell me I'm wrong. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of just the way the internet works. Like, if you want, if you can have whatever name you want, but don't expect everyone to be able to know how to say it, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. The weirdest one is when I get Jai and things like that. It's like, no, dude, it's like 3 letters. How are you not pronouncing this right? It's J. I do get some weird ones. We've got Matt Clack, Ham Kenobi, Lude Helios, Tracer Glowtail. Oh, we're starting to hot up in here now. Starting to hot up.
Yeah.
Getting a bit warmer.
Oh, we don't have the bot set for the uptime command, do we? We should probably fix that for next stream. I've seen a few people try to use that, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We just went live not even 2.5 minutes ago. And we're just doing our usual pre-show stuff. The show has not officially started yet. We're kind of just hanging out, making sure everything's going swell, catching up with you guys a little bit as we usually do.
Oh yeah.
You guys know the drill.
This is the first time Matt Clack's caught a stream live. Well, good to see you, dude. Nice to see you live and fresh and rosy-faced.
Yeah. Well, you don't know that. What if he or she looks not like that right now? You don't decide everything, Jay.
I'm just being polite because I'm British and that's what we do.
What? I don't know. My sample size for nice British people is 0. So
wow. Okay. So wow, what an insult. What about me and Chris? Chris, you know Chris fairly well.
Okay, Chris is pretty nice. You're something else.
Okay.
But that's okay. I like you for other reasons. Just kidding, of course.
Is it for the 9 inches we were discussing earlier on? For reference, guys, we were talking about how my case is 9 inches deep. That's what we were talking about.
Sure, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Seattle meetup hype, says Starson. Yeah, the meetup thread was just posted pretty recently. Confirmed July 27th. The same place we had it last year. The Seattle Pacific University. It's a huge venue. We easily fit like 300 plus people in there last year.
Wow, that's awesome.
Lots of space, so it was pretty good as far as the venue is concerned. Looking forward to that again.
That's good. Yeah, we've got the UK meetup on Saturday, so in just over 24 hours, and I think we're expecting about 100 people there, which for a country the size of the UK, it's quite good.
That's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. If you imagine that the UK is about a quarter of the size of California, then
imagine if all 100 of those people bought ISO kits. You'd be able to beat MOQ.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for that. Imagine if all those 100 people subscribed to Top Clack.
I like imagining things, Jay.
Yeah, there's lots of nice things to imagine, isn't there? Yeah.
Mini Ninja 64 just subbed with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much for that. Great username, by the way.
And Mountain Blocks as well, subscribed at Tier 1 for 6 months now, saying good evening, gents. Good evening. Quake being savage. Yeah, I don't know what I did to deserve that.
Apparently I'm just in a really mean mood today. I don't actually mean it. I'm usually kidding if I sound like I'm being mean. Usually. It's pretty rare that I'm mean. To someone that isn't Jay.
And DMC with the sub as well. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
Heck yeah. The bot still not ping the Discord? Okay. Bot's a little slow today.
It's pretty rare that you're a meme. No, Brian's always a meme. Always a meme.
I've been a meme. Not rare at all. I've been a meme on RMK a couple times. It's actually, what's funny is I think it was two Seattle summer meetups ago, so 2017. There was this like kind of, you know, like what the gatekeeper meme is.
Oh yes, yeah, I do remember seeing that actually.
Yeah, there was a meme of me, and it was outside the Seattle Museum of why can't I remember the name of it? The Living Computers Museum in Seattle, where we had the meetup in 2017, and it's me like outside of the door, and you know, in one frame I'm standing in front of the door with my arms crossed, and in the other frame, you know, I'm like, you know, opening the door and letting people in or whatever. And so it's like it's in reference to like a rubber dome keyboard that I'm blocking out, and then like what I'm letting in is like this
with a mech, and you're the bouncer letting people in.
Exactly. So in the frame where I'm letting people in, it's like a picture of like an M65, which was like the hotness at that time. With like a, you know, a new GMK set on it or something, and that picture was like the #1 post on RMK for like that day, and it got so many upvotes that actually made it to like one of like the first like 5 pages of r/all. And I remember someone at my work, like IRL work, came in and was like, "Hey, I saw you like on Reddit," and I was like, "What?" That's so weird. And then I looked, and sure enough, it was there, and it was a really strange feeling.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool. That's really cool. I think my most upvoted post on Reddit is the Hyper 7, which I think is still on the top all-time list of RMK, actually. I think it's like 30th or something on there, which is quite cool. But interestingly enough, at the UK meetup this year, I get my Keycap trophy for Keyboard of the Year 2018 for the Hyper 7. So it might be a year ago, it might be February 2018 when I built it, but I finally get the trophy at the meetup.
You're finally getting the recognition that you deserve.
The recognition, yeah. So I got second place on Death Authority, and I got first place on Keycap for it. So yeah, it's nice. Jordo Wag says, "Jay, will you be coming to the Seattle meetup?" We are looking at options. That's all I'll say at the minute. There's no guarantees, there's no promises, but we're looking at it and we're investigating whether it's possible to get me there.
Yeah. Anything could happen.
Could.
We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Hello, it's DNL saying, "Hey." Hey to you as well.
DNL. Good to see you, dude. The Ice is Nice 33 saying, "Any updates on the ONZ yet?" It's so one has shipped. So Max has got. So the manufacturer's shipped the ANSI in 2 packages. He's got the first one, and there was only one full complete kit in that first one. So one has been shipped, and there's pictures of that on RMK. The user was Egler. The rest of them are due to ship as soon as he gets the second batch and does QC on them. So that could be any time in the next week or so. He has confirmed that the manufacturer shipped the second box, but it hasn't been delivered as yet. So we're just at the whims of shipping, and then they should be shipped out to the owners. Because I'm excited to get mine. Can't wait for that. It's a good board.
I remember that board. I haven't typed on it though.
I've used the prototype of it, but I haven't.
Did you use the first prototype that was like kind of tall?
Yeah, it was based off the feedback off that prototype, which is why I reduced the height from it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think I don't know if I can't remember if I built it or if I just had it on the streams before I was on Top Pack when I was on my own channel. But yeah, it was. To be honest, it was a nice board. I didn't go for the polycarb option in the end. I went for the aluminium version. But I'm excited to get that.
Josie Brewer asking, Cream's best sounding linear switch. I don't know. I do like. I think Creams do sound quite good.
Yeah, they don't sound terrible at all. They sound really nice. I'm not sure if I'd pick them as my favorite. I'd probably pick.
What would be your favorite sounding switch? I mean, it's kind of a hard question, right? Because the sound
depends on the board.
Exactly. The sound of the entire configuration matters as much or more than just the single switch that you're putting into it.
It's not just one component. You change the plate, you change the case, you change anything, it's going to change. You even change the type of lube you put in the switch, then it will do. What I will say is that my favourite sounding board is my TMO50, which has got inks in with the polycarb base and the brass plate. That sounds just perfect to me. If all my boards sounded like that, I'd be really happy. I would say it was on my wall, but it's not, because I'm packed for the meetup, so it's in the case just here. But that's why the wall's are bare. I've not sold up, and I'm not quitting the hobby or anything like that, guys. It's just I'm completely packed up for the meetup. Does anyone know what the price of the Satisfaction 75 is going to be approximately? Looking if I can order food or need to get some cup noodles. Pass. I don't think UPass has released an amount yet. Have you seen that, Brian?
I have not.
I don't think he has. But if you want to see one, I have one right here. I can't show you the weight design, but I can show you the board. Ta-da!
I think you should show the weight design.
No, I can't. I can't.
I'm kidding. Talisman Solutions.
I made a promise.
Donates 1,111 bits. Thank you very much, sir.
Nice.
Appreciate that.
One day he's going to mess with it. He's going to submit something like 1,112 bits, and
he's now up to 88,888. If I'm reading that right.
Wow. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sleep says, how are the Gatorun glow-in-the-dark switches? Don't see any reviews on them. I have some, but I haven't used them in a build yet. I've got a tub full of them. And I'll tell you this for nothing. They do glow really, really well. They actually glow quite brightly. But I can't... Yeah, I've got 90 of them. But I haven't actually used them in a build yet. But they feel okay. They feel just like another recolored gap linear. So they feel like Tangerines or the linear switches. That's kind of how they feel.
It uses the Gatorade yellow spring, doesn't it? Or something like that?
Yes, most of the recolored Gatoruns do, don't they? So I think the Linear uses a Gat Yellow spring as well, or
which is a really cool spring.
It's probably the best stock spring that I've ever used.
I agree.
So if you're going to use it, it's the best one to use, isn't it?
Yeah. Apparently, Upas has stated that it'll be under $400, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Luke Helios also has said Jay has nothing to flex with today. Hey, you haven't seen the mail call yet, so maybe I do, maybe I don't.
Yeah. You haven't seen Jay's guns yet. He's flexing on stream. Fantastic. So once again, we're kind of just waiting for the bot to ping the Discord so more people can kind of get in here, and then we'll start the show officially. The bot is
delayed,
characteristically fairly late.
It's either late or it's immediate, isn't it? It's one of the two.
Yeah,
in between. It's either within a minute or it's 20 minutes.
Yeah, we usually try to start the show a little bit early, so like the bot can take 5 to 10 minutes to kind of ping the Discord, then we can start. But it's looking a little late today, so just bear with us, guys. We will be starting very shortly, one way or the other.
Mr. Petro says, out of push, Jake can start flexing cards. One day, do you know what, guys? I'm tempted to actually, because I've got a desk set up in my garage as well, so I've got like a desk, and I have got a webcam in there. I could put another webcam in there quite easily, and you would be able to see at least one of the cars behind me. That'd be quite cool. Maybe we should do that one week. I might sound a bit echoey, but maybe we will do it one week.
That'd be cool. Maybe do it for like a build stream or something. I don't know.
Oh, I couldn't do a build in there. There's not enough space.
Not with that attitude.
Well, the reason for that is because all of the desk space in front of me is kind of got band saws and other tools and drill presses and all sorts of that stuff. So the entire front wall of my garage is just like a mass of tools, and then right in the middle of it, I've got a small desk that's maybe 20 inches across, which has got a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse, so I can click and check and buy things online for the cars when I'm working on them. So I could theoretically stream from there, but I don't think I could do a build stream from there. There's just not enough space.
Oh my, we have DMC in the chat, Twitch staff. That always scares me. I like that.
Oh, wow.
I like being frightened.
DMC.
I like being frightened on stream.
I've never had Twitch staff in chat before.
We've had a few Twitch staff members throughout the years of Top Clack.
And new sub. Oh, well, thank you, DMC. Thank you.
Ooh, and new sub. Yes, thank you very much, sir.
The MBN says, Top Clack, do you consider a full review video for the Master Holy Pandas production sample? So as far as I know, Brian, you're getting some of these, aren't you? You're expecting some of these shortly, I think.
I've been told. I've been sent the the quote unquote prototypes, which are what I've been told production samples with the fixed mold. I was sent like 15 of those, so obviously I can't do a full board. But like I had mentioned in my posts about them in the past, I do think that they're holy pandas, guys. Like it walks like a holy panda. It talks like a holy panda. It's a holy panda. And I really don't expect the production units to be any different. But I've been told that I'm getting some, and so if I do, then I will definitely let you guys know about what's going on. And I'll at the very least I can write up some kind of review.
Yeah, they're gonna be close. It's Master, guys. They're not gonna mess that up and do it wrong, especially when they've already sent out early samples and things. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
James Jamos is there. It looks like he's a little bit drunk, but he's a good friend of mine who sadly can't make the meetup this weekend, but I was looking forward to seeing him, so hopefully we'll catch up soon, James. The bot's pinged.
All right, it's only 16 minutes late.
16 minutes.
16 minutes late. That's pretty bad. That might be the latest. It's almost the latest it's ever been, I think.
I think it is. Yeah.
So we'll give that a second for people to get that ping and roll in here, and then we'll start. Sorry again for the delay, guys.
Yeah.
There's not
Dixie's saying that you should get the Holy Pandas from Master because you created them.
I suppose. I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's just a hybrid switch. That's all it is. Holy Pandas aren't even that cool anymore. They're cool. Don't get me wrong, but Holy Pandas 2 years ago were insanely cool. Like, that was the cool thing to have. And now it's... There's so many more tactile switches that are kind of similar. Some of them, a lot better, more accessible, even cheaper. So it's like, Holy Pandas are cool, but they're just not as cool as they were 2 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah. Agree. I think there's more options out there. So you don't just have to look at Holy Pandas as the grail of switches.
I would rather use Zeal V2s than Holy Pandas on most situations. I would.
Do you know what's really interesting, actually, Brian? For me, I always thought I was a tactile fan. And over the last 6 months, I've been moving more and more towards linear switches than tactile ones.
Well, that's kind of a side effect of being on Top Clack with me. Because Huey went Huey went through the same transition.
So basically, you ruin our taste as we spend more time with you. Got you. Yeah, got you.
Are you happier, Jay? let me ask that. That's what I thought.
Happy with my keyboard? I don't know, because I am really enjoying the Holy Pandas I put in the Satisfaction 75.
The Holy Panda is still a good switch. It's still a fun switch. It's a good switch. It has its high points, but there are more alternatives on the market now.
Yeah. I actually really liking some T1s, so I put some T1s in my workboard the other day, and I've been really enjoying them as well. So, but yeah, we'll see how we get on. Just missed a couple of announcements. So, Chewy subscribed with 6 months of Twitch Prime. 6 months, let's go. Yeah, good to see you, dude. And you guys should check out Mex on Deck, which is Chewy's and Osiris's channel on YouTube. I couldn't remember the name of the site then. Matt Clack with 1,000 bits donation. Thank you very much, sir. We
Thank you very much, guys. And a Mountain Blocks with 555 bits. Thank you so much, guys. Nice. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
We should probably we're starting to gain some viewers now. We should probably start to roll into the mail call, and then we'll talk about. Do you want to
roll the intro, Brian?
I suppose we could do that. Let me just do that real quick, because that's a thing.
So, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you guys are. This Top Clack, welcome to the show. Today, for you guys, it's probably the 18th of April. For me, it's now the 19th, as it's the early hours of the morning. I am Jay, and here is my lovely co-host, Quakums, aka Brian. I see him checking his watch there. So welcome to the show. We've got a packed news doc today. We've got some big announcements in terms of our logo competition, which we've been looking at over the past couple of hours together, Brian and I. So let's get into it. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, so we'll start with a mail call, as we kind of just do traditionally now, while more people kind of roll in here, and then we're going to talk about our logo contest, which we opened up last week. So if you guys maybe entered that or into that, then we'll show off some cool designs, and we'll talk about some of
really
what
cool
happened
stuff.
and kind of like our final picks, and then we'll discuss the winner. You know, the drill, all the usual stuff.
Yeah, and the prize as well. Don't forget, it's that glorious set of GMK Modern Dolch, full base kit, unopened, brand new, and in pristine condition. Which I will ship out to the winner, although it'll be delayed by a few days because I'm away after today, so it won't be shipped until next week. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. Should we start with a bit of a mail call then, Brian? Do you want to just run through what you've had in the mail this week?
Yeah, so I probably do have things in the mail this week, but I haven't checked my mail in like 2 or 3 days. So I was kind of struggling to get ready for the show in time. With we got a fat news doc. We're working on the logo stuff.
Yeah.
I was setting up some some other stuff, some OBS stuff. So I didn't really have time to go get my mail before the show. So I'm gonna go get it after the show. But I probably do have like a couple things in there keyboard related. But as usual, I let you down and I let everyone else down by not having really cool things to show off at this exact moment. But also, as usual, you will make up for it with the amount of stuff you have because you're just a cooler person than I am, Jay.
Two things this week. That's all. Just 2 things. The first one is a KBD67. So I know I've built a couple of these on stream over the past couple of years, guys. But this is my personal one. So I had Ware do this in a lovely chocolate brown colour. So this is the chocolate colour that he did for the Turfu, and he didn't offer it on this particular board. I asked him really, really nicely, and he was kind enough to make this one for me. So as you can see, it's a lovely shade of chocolate brown. It's probably looking black on the camera, but I promise you it is really nice brown colour. And then the second board that I got this week, which I've literally just opened in front of Brian earlier on, so I kind of did an unboxing, a private one-on-one unboxing for Brian, is my TX60 HHKB in antique copper. That comes with a brass plate and brass weight. And you guys will probably be really interested to know that I'm going to build this in HHKB layout. So it's going to be my first ANSI board that I choose to build that way. So yeah, there we go, guys.
Yeah, that you choose to build that way. That's a good note. It's a good note.
Thanks.
So I think the rest of us are waiting with bated breath to see how long you actually use that board before you swap back to an ISO board.
Well, So the reason yeah, wait, it won't be long. No, the reason I'm building it that way is because I don't have a HHKB layout board, and I have ANSI boards, so I've got the Vern and a couple of other bits and pieces that don't support ISO. The majority of my boards are ISO layout, and I don't, even though I've got other HHKB layout boards, I don't have any that have actually got the HHKB layout on them. I usually build them with a bastardized ISO layout and kind of have a really weird bottom row with an ISO enter key and split backspace, and it doesn't work so well in that kind of way. So this one is going to be built stock or just standard HHKB MX layout. So yeah, that's what we're going to do.
So we're gonna convert you to on.
It's not converting. It's one board. It's one board.
It only takes one.
It doesn't. Trust me, it doesn't.
Ooh. Not touching on that one. All right, so now we're going to move over to talk about our logo contest, guys. So if you guys remember, in our last episode, we opened up a little bit of a Google form for our logo contest, and basically the way it worked was that we're looking for new ideas. Top Clack is going through a bit of a refresh. I've been calling it more of an evolution lately.
Yeah.
And one of the things we want to do is change our logo and kind of just change our overall theme and feel aesthetically, artistically, you could say. And we Jay and I are not exactly the most artistic people in the world. So what we wanted to do was kind of open up a little bit of a competition for you guys, so you guys could enter some of your ideas, whether you drew them by hand or you're an expert with the mouse and keyboard and you're doing some artwork there. Regardless, it was open to everyone, and we let people kind of give us their ideas, I guess. And then what we did is we sorted through them before the show. We talked about what we liked, what we didn't like. We settled on a final top 5. And the winner will be receiving a brand new, fresh, unopened set of GMK Modern Dolch, like Jay had mentioned earlier.
Yep.
And what more can you want? What more can you want? We had some cool ideas, and we had some cool entries for sure. The whole point of the competition wasn't necessarily to just be like, here's a new logo, we're going to use this logo. It was a little bit more like we're looking for ideas, something to build upon, a theme. We may or may not use things directly. We may not use anything at all, even. But we kind of just wanted to see what people would come up with, and with that,
we needed ideas. So as Brian said, we needed ideas. We're not designers. We're not that kind of minded type of people, so we needed people to give us ideas. And it is really important to call out that even though we think a lot of elements are cool in a lot of the submissions, and there was no terrible submissions, we liked something about every single submission we got through. We spent a good hour and about an hour and a half talking about it before the show, Brian, something like that.
It was wild.
We did have a lot that we liked about a lot of them, and little bits that we didn't like about some of them, and all of that kind of stuff. So we talked all that through, and we've come up with a bit of a list that we want to share with you guys. Now, as Brian said, it is really key to understand that we might not necessarily use any of these as our final design. We might want to tweak them or change them. We might just use elements from 1, 2, or 3 different bits and pieces. But it has really, really helped us, guys. So thank you very much for submitting all of your ideas. Thank you for showing us what you like. Thank you for showing us and sharing with us what you think about Top Clack as well. Some of the comments we've got were really nice in the background, and some really constructive feedback as well. So we just want to say big thank you up front before we go through the details.
Yeah, it just a quick stat, just in case any of you guys were curious, and maybe you want to know your odds. There were a grand total of 22 entries. Only 22.
Yeah.
And this is to win a GMK Modern Dolce set, completely new and unopened. So your odds were pretty. A couple of them were like even memes. So like really, your odds were like 1 in 20.
Yeah. Clearly, we picked the wrong price for this.
But we did
have put something a bit more.
We did narrow it down to a top 5, and I'm going to swap over the news viewers so you guys can see the entries that we had. At least the 5 that we kind of settled on here. We are going to talk about a couple honorable mentions first, then we will tell you the 3rd place, the 2nd place, and the 1st place. Obviously, only 1st place wins something, but we want to kind of call out talent when we see it, because a lot of these took a lot of effort, honestly, and a lot of people are very talented, way more so than us, obviously. And it was cool. It was cool to see the length that some people actually went to just put effort into this, and we are greatly thankful for it. So let's start off with showing our first honorable mention, and this is a pretty interesting idea, because what Jay and I really liked about this guy had like a theme. Like, he actually wrote about it, the inspiration about what's going on. He showed so many different, like, varied logos. With like, I particularly like the little loading screen here with the press start.
It's really cool.
It's freaking amazing.
So we should say that this is by Gouty, who's part of the EU crowd. So Gouty, I shall be seeing you on Saturday, and well done for submitting this. We really like a lot of the elements in here, as Brian was saying. There's clearly a lot of thought gone into this. There's a lot of variations within the design. There's a lot of different things for us to look at, and even down to the options of favicons and things like that. Which was the only entry where we saw where people had suggested favicons for us as well for the website and things. In terms of for Top Clack, it's not quite the modern slick logo we were looking for, but Brian and I do both really love that this harkens back to our kind of childhoods playing video games and stuff. And I was saying to Brian a little anecdote about this, but I remember queuing up outside Blockbuster in the UK to actually rent the Top Gear game that this logo is based on way back in 1992. I remember actually queuing with my mum, and I made my mum queue outside the store so I could rent it for the SNES. So yeah, I really have a lot of fond memories of that game, and for this design, I think it's really cool.
Yeah, so obviously not our winner, but we thought it definitely needed to be an honorable mention, because not only do we like it, but just the sheer amount of effort that this user put into designing this, like actually having a page on a site for it with inspiration and text and different variations on the logo, and it's just great. Like Jay said, something we're trying to look for is more modern, more clean, and more kind of professional. We really do want to push that kind of modern vibe and just kind of bring everything together in this kind of day and age. And this is a little bit more of a retro take on it, which is cool, but not what we're looking for, and hence why it did not win our 1st place prize. But credit where credit is due. Shout out to this user here, to Gouty. This was a good job. This was a really good job.
Really good job. It really made us smile with that one. It was really good.
Yep. Okay.
Should we move on to our next honorable mention?
Yes. Our other honorable mention is going to be from Dixie Mech, of all people. So shout outs to Dixie Mech for your entry here. He gave us some different options here, a bit of a logo with some stats on it, as well as I like when people do this as well. They introduce kind of the overlay as well to see how it could look. So he went above and beyond here, and kind of showed off what the layouts, the overlays could actually look like.
Yeah. Yeah, so he kind of came up with a full design of how we might implement his thoughts into streams. He had a logo on there, he had stream layouts, he had news layouts, the whole kind of colorway and everything else he laid out for us so we could have a play around with it as well, which is really useful. And it's just a really clean kind of look and feel to it. It's kind of neat and tidy. It's not too cluttered, it's nice and chunky in terms of the text. One of the things that Brian and I both really like is the fact that it's got the camera as the main logo, so it's almost like kind of someone holding the camera and filming top Clack, and we kind of both really liked that element of it as well.
Yeah, pretty darn awesome. One thing, Nebula actually pointed this out too, so I felt like we should mention it. He says, "This is a giant Dixie shill." I love it. So yeah, one thing we kind of had a laugh at was that this is clearly supposed to be a little sponsor section over here on the right. Above the comments, and it's just his logo.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I messaged Brian and said, Dixie's put a really subtle advertisement for his store in his submission, and Brian's like, "Oh, that's really not subtle. That's like right in your face."
Yeah, so that's pretty cute. We do like a lot of things about this, but obviously it would take some tweaking. And I think it's probably good to comment on things that we don't like on these submissions too, just to try to be fair. So yeah, I think we had kind of a love-hate relationship with the camera logo here. Well, I do love it because it's simple, it's clean, it's elegant, and it shows that we are something of a content creation studio like we are. It doesn't have anything to do with keyboards, so someone at a glance might not know anything about what this is supposed to be.
Yeah,
and I think that was kind of the the biggest up and the lowest low on this one for me.
Yeah, it was kind of how do we tie it back to what we do and what we're about, and that was just the element that was missing for us on this one.
Yeah, but regardless, shout out to Dixie. Thank you very much for the entry. We definitely like a lot of the aspects of this, and that's why it made our second honorable mention.
Yeah, indeed.
All right, let's move on to our third place finish.
Yeah, so third place is by DNL, or in chat today, it's Hello, it's DNL, is his username today, on Twitch. So thank you very much for this submission, dude. There was a lot of different things we liked about this. So there's 3 different logos, 2 the same with the color variation and gradient change. And then there's a secondary logo as well. So Brian and I both like different elements of all of this. So just looking at the very top logo, we like the fact that it ties it back to what Top Clack's about. We like the fact that it's got a keycap on there. We do think it should be the number 1 keycap rather than the escape keycap, but yeah, little things, just little things. But we like the fact that it harkens back to what Top Clack's about. It kind of gives a bit of a look and feel for keyboards, which we liked as well. In terms of the second logo, it's nice and brightly coloured, it's very modern, it's very fresh. We liked the idea of having the keyboard and the logo within the box, and that was really nice. But what the hell is that layout, man?
Yeah, that was kind of my biggest problem with it as well. I think that both of the ideas that he puts on this page here have a lot of potential. They're modern, they're clean, they're professional. You can look at it at a glance and you know what it's about. That was a really big one for me, and that's why this definitely made it into our top 3, because the potential behind here is strong. It was clear he knew what he wanted to do, and it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, if you put like a well-known layout, like a 60% or a TKL or something like that on that second logo, you've got the makings of a really good logo. It stands out. It kind of says what we stand for and what we're about. So lots of really good options. We really liked a lot of the elements in here.
Yep, absolutely. So shout out for being our third place finisher there, DNL.
Yeah,
we definitely appreciate the effort.
Very much.
Good stuff. All right, let's move on to our second place finish, which is kind of this kind of Google Doc going on, because he like Dixie Mech, he actually went above and beyond here and did not only just a logo, but what other things could look like. Via an overlay and stuff. So we'll start with the logo here, because this is what he came up with here. But this gentleman, this is T. Tyler Durden, and he just put otherworldly amount of effort into his entry here, and this is why it really spoke to us here. So, first and foremost, level of detail is monstrous here. Probably way over the top, if we're being honest, but just the level of detail is very, very nice, and it was cool to see someone put this much effort into it.
Yeah, we were both blown away by this entry when we first saw it, and one thing that we can both agree on that we really absolutely love about this logo is that font choice. It's just stunning. It really, really fits. We like how that looks. We kind of like that whole classy look and feel for the font. It looks really good. And we like the fact that there's two different options. He's mixing it up. He's given us an option, kind of sepia tones and the black and white as well, so we can kind of get a feel for how it might look in different use cases and stuff like this. So we really liked the whole nature of the design on this one. It kind of felt like it had good flow and a lot of attention to detail.
Yeah. Some things we weren't too crazy about, the top hat and the mustache. I don't know what it is, but actually there were multiple entries involving top hats.
With top hats, yeah.
There were like 3 or 4 or 5 entries involving top hats. It was kind of stunning. And I appreciate that maybe you guys think, top hats are our thing, but we're...
only on Sundays, guys. It's not an everyday thing.
It's cool, it's classy, it's fun, but we're struggling to see, how it incorporates with a keyboard content creation studio. So, we definitely loved the amount of detail. We loved the font. We loved the effort that he put in. But, at the end of the day, that's still, that top hat mustache logo was not really for us. But we did like a lot of the aspects of that. I'm going to take you through some of the other pictures as well. Because, like I said, he really went above and beyond with the effort. He put in a post-stream screen here, which is what this is. Watch latest stream. Here's some links to our stuff. Pretty fun stuff there. He's got our news viewer over here, very clean. Then he has what will be our kind of normal 2-person overlay here as well. Really, really trying to push this whole theme together. So it was very obvious that he was going for a very cohesive kind of idea, and he really pulled it off. And last but not least, he kind of has these little under stream Twitch banners. Which
are awesome,
which would be links. Yeah, and I do, we've said it a couple times, but I do want to say that this text, this font, is so freaking cool, man. I really do love this.
We absolutely love the font, and the fact that the font flows throughout all of these different images. I think for me, the kind of stream overlays were a little bit too busy, especially for the kind of like dual user one. But in terms of those tiles at the end, they're just so nice, and they fit so well with the rest of the theme that is designed around this. And it made us realise that we want that kind of thing as part of our branding refresh that we're going to go through, because it wasn't something we'd considered before. So it was really nice to see that, and something else to kind of jog our memories and kind of make us sit up and pay attention to. It's a really, really well-rounded effort, and the kind of the strongest reason for us not choosing this as our winner was kind of like it doesn't really relate back to keyboards, and we kind of appreciate that he's related it back to technology like headphones and keyboards and mice and things like that during some of the other images, but just for that main logo, which is kind of going to be our our kind of de facto branding symbol, it just didn't quite hit that mark for us. But in terms of the effort, top marks.
Yeah, absolutely. This guy is clearly not short on talent, and just the sheer effort he put in was really, 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 really amazing. I have a lot of respect for this guy now. I already had a lot of respect for him before, but just doing this was just otherworldly. Shout out to Mr. Petrov, who donates 1,001 show love bits. Thank you very much. It says classy gents, very top Clack.
Thank you. He also just subscribed as well at tier 2 and subscribed for 6 months. So
thank you very much, man. I appreciate that.
We appreciate it. Yeah, really appreciate it.
So once again, this was our 2nd place finish, not our 1st. So the grand prize is going to go to this next entry. So this is by Biip, who is actually a well-known designer in the keyboard community. He has done multiple key sets and logos for other various things. And we really liked the simplicity, the modern feel of this particular one. And and when Jay and I were trying to decide who was our winner out of our top 3, Jay actually brought up a good point. He said, if we had to pick one of these logos to use tomorrow, what would we pick? And both of us instantly said it would have to be this one.
Yeah. I mean, this is it's really clean. It's really nice. There's two variations. I think Brian and I both prefer the top variation, where the kind of key on the left is showing the outline and not the full key. But what we really like about this is the fact that it shows both Brian and I's personalities and choices in terms of preference and things like that. It has the kind of the ISO enter key that you can see there, and then it also has the ANSI enter key that you can see kind of showing where the two overlap if they were in place on the keyboard. And then at the same time, that shows what the big ass enter key would look like as well. But it's a really clean, simple logo with really nice lines. It's nicely detailed. There's a lot going for it. It's really recognizable. And where we both really thought it stood out was where the two gold parts are. So there's the two logos that you can see on screen now, where it's got gold in the logo, and on that dark background where you can see that the ANSI enter has got the kind of like gold outline around it, and where top has kind of got the gold outline around it. We thought that really just popped, and it we really like what it stands for. Biip's clearly very talented. I know he's done novelties for GMK Taro and other things. Oh, sorry, that was Outrage Pudding actually. But he's done novelties for other key sets and things like that. So he's clearly very talented and he's excellent at what he does.
Yeah, and again, it was just the sheer cleanliness and professionalism of this logo, and like the subtlety of the ISO and the ANSI enter together, I think was really just a home run. Because like at a first glance, you might not really think about that, but the more you look at it, you're like, oh, that's kind of like the culmination of Brian and Jay,
Yeah. Just kind of us fitting together, and then that whole.
I think there's a lot of meaning there. There's a lot more meaning there than meets the eye when you first look at this logo, and that's why I like that a lot.
Yeah, and it's done in such a simple way as well. He's got all of that meaning, all of that intention, all of what we kind of stand for in that classic kind of layout and look. Just in a dead simple format, and it works in multiple colors. We can have it in black and white or white and black, different variations of shade. I was actually playing around with this in PowerPoint because I can't Photoshop, and even if you kind of fill the colors in different ways, it works with pretty much anything. We can go with anything on this. It's a really adaptable kind of logo, and it's easy to kind of fit it into our aesthetic and what we stand for in terms of how we stream and that kind of stuff as well. So well deserving winner on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout outs to Biip. You are #1 finisher. You won yourself a brand new, fresh, unopened set of GMK Modern Dolch, and we will be hitting you up on Discord after the show sometime, and we'll get that to you.
Yeah, I'll be in touch shortly, pestering you for your address, so that you can tell me where to ship this set to. It will be next week, as I said earlier on. Sadly, I'm not at home this weekend. I am at the UK meetup, and it is a bank holiday weekend, so the earliest this is going to ship is Tuesday. I'll just be really clear on that now. But I will get out into the post as soon as possible, and it's sat right at the side of me. It's got stuff stacked on top of it, but it is sat right at the side of me. Ready to ship out to you, which does lead us to the next bit, which is to big thank you to Janglad and MyKeyboard.eu for donating their Modern Dolch key set. It was very kind of them to do so, to promote Modern Dolch and to promote their key sets as well. So thank you very much to you guys. We really appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who entered, and congratulations to Biip. What a top entry.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that same vein, Talisman Solution is gifting a tier 1 sub to Biip as well. So thank you so much, Talisman, for gifting that.
Oh, Biip's in chat as well. Biip, honestly, man, I didn't realize you were watching, but genuinely, dude, we were both stoked when we saw this, and it blew us away. Yeah, it's just too strong, man. It's clear. It's clear that you know what you're doing, and we are thankful for it. So this is definitely something that we may use, we may not use, we may want to build upon it, we may hit you up for some other ideas, maybe some alterations, so on and so forth. So the thing we have to check is that we want to make sure that this fits for the rest of our design philosophy. So it's not just about now having it as a logo, it's about how do we take that forward to our overlays and to our color schemes and to our website and things like that. So we do need to investigate that and see how that works. So we'll have a look at it and let you guys know.
Yep, absolutely. So now we should probably roll into our news doc. Obviously, this is going to be a pretty long show, guys. Hope you're ready for that, as episodes lately tend to have been. So just keep that in mind. We still have a very healthy news doc to get through. So.
Yeah. So first thing we're opening with this week is an interest check from Project Keyboard. So this is the Kepler, which is a great name, by the way. I absolutely love the fact naming boards after science heroes is a great way to do things. I absolutely love that naming, by the way. Which is a TKL board, which has got some interesting different statistics. Do you want to talk us through some of the details, Brian?
Yeah, so this one has kind of a plethora of interesting things going on. So to start out with, I'm trying to find the best picture to show up here on stream. Yeah, I'll just show the first one. All right, so the way this works is the top part, this whole kind of square rectangle part, is aluminum, and that's going to be anodized this kind of silver color, or E-coating if you want black. So it looks like we're going to get 2 color variations for that top. Regardless, you're going to have a brass PVD finished bottom, which is what this kind of big bottom piece with all this angle is. So that is all brass, which is quite interesting and quite ambitious. I like that. The plate is also going to be a PVD brass finish, but there is going to be options for carbon fiber, FR4, palm, and polycarbonate. So, you know, if you're familiar with Project Keyboard at all, you know that the guy behind it, 159, is really passionate about putting out a lot of options for plate materials in particular, and he does seem to really like those non-metal plates. So it's kind of cool to see all of those plate materials be a potential option. I'm glad to see that. There will be 2 layout versions. You'll have the win keyless version as well as the more normal win key version, if that's more your style. The typing angle is going to be 7 degrees, which is nice. Front height, pretty normal at 19 millimeters. And let's move on to a couple of the more interesting specs, what I'm going to say. So I'm going to open up this picture here, and you're going to tell us a little bit, Jay, about true isolation mount.
Yeah. Okay. So this is something that's kind of close to my heart, because this is how the J01 works, which was my personal custom. You guys, I've talked about this at length on stream before, but the idea behind it is that it completely encapsulates the plate, and it completely removes any opportunity for the cape to vibrate or add resonance against the case. And what we find in a lot of cases is that sometimes you find the pingy noise because the plate's vibrating against the case as you're typing and things like that. So this is designed to completely isolate that. Now, it's a gasket mounting, or what we refer to as gasket mounting in the community, but gaskets can be used for 2 things. It can either be, or 2 main things with some additional side effects. And 2 main things are, you can either do them for flex, which is where we tend to see things like the GSKT and the E65, for example, or the Volcano, where it's kind of got O-rings underneath the plate, and you kind of have like a compressed, bouncy feel almost. The second side, which is this one, is primarily done for sound, and it's completely making sure that you're isolating the plate. Now, the way this will work is effectively what you're doing is you're putting a gasket, the plate with a gasket around the edge, and then another gasket on top, and you're sandwiching those 2 between the actual top and the bottom of the case. So effectively, it's going to feel like a softer sandwich mount. But in terms of the sound, what you're going to make sure is that you're getting the true sound of the plate and the switch combination and the keycap combination that you're using, and it reduces the amount of impact that the case can have on the sound profile of the board. We've seen this works to really good effect in the J01, and you guys have seen what that looks like in my build videos comparing brass plates to carbon fiber. My personal view is that if you're going to get this, you want a carbon fiber or POM plate for it, because they really help you understand what the sound profile of that the switch and the board that you're using is. That's my personal view on the best plate material to use with this. But it's absolutely fantastic to see another implementation of this mount. I think it's going to be something we'll see a lot more of in the future. And I think it's going to be something that after this board releases, because J01 was very private to myself, I think when this board actually gets released and people can realize and understand and appreciate the effect of this mount, it's really going to take off, and we'll see a lot more designers trying to implement this kind of solution.
Yeah, so I've never used anything exactly like this. I've used the OTD 356 Mini, which, you know, may or may not kind of result in the same kind of thing here, but this is a bit different of a design. So like I was showing in this first picture, and like Jay was mentioning, there's 3 gasket-styled pieces. One that goes around the plate entirely, and then there's one above the plate and one below the plate. So obviously this is true isolation. The plate is not contacting anywhere on the case that isn't gaskets. So
yeah, the other interesting thing to call out as well is that the way this is implemented, if you didn't have that rubber underneath the plate would actually drop into the tray. So the bottom rubber layer is what's actually holding the plate up and holding it in position. It's only just based. It's like effectively a skirt that it sits on all the way around, but it does mean that you get that slightly softer feel than a standard sandwich mount. So it does make it feel a little bit softer, but it really, really accentuates that sound profile and makes sure you get a really crisp and clean sound without any hint of case ping. And it's a really, really successful solution. It works so well that I'm really happy to see it in another board, and I can't wait to see what people think of this when it's out there in the open.
Yeah, so this is looking pretty hot. So one other thing I wanted to point out here is this cable solution. So
this is really cool.
They're going for something pretty ambitious here, and at first I didn't really understand why, but I think I'm starting to get it now. So this is going to have an integrated B-series LEMO connector, or LEMO, I don't know how to say it. I do use a LEMO cable with most of my boards nowadays because I do think it's just nicer and better than everything else I've used on the market. So shout outs to that. But this is pretty interesting because we don't usually see this kind of proprietary thing going on a keyboard here. So obviously, this isn't going to be a scenario like a lot of your other keyboards where you can just unplug a mini USB or a USB-C cable from one keyboard and plug it into this one. This is a little bit more proprietary. Obviously, they will be able to do custom works and stuff with it, but I thought that was pretty interesting. And at first, I was like, why have something so different and so unique and so proprietary? And then I was talking to him about it, and he's like, well, you're not going to want to move this keyboard from your desk. And I was like, I like that confidence. that is good.
It's good. So Dixie just mentioned it's not the first keyboard to do it. There have been others. So yeah. I think in terms of the Evil 80, they had a slightly different connector. They didn't have the B series. They had one of the other series connectors on there. And there were two Korean boards. I can't remember the names. There were two Korean boards that came with a LEMO integrated into the case. But again, they were different connectors. This is the first one I've seen of this particular type of connector. But it's absolutely a fantastic idea to put them in. It means it's another option for customizing cables. LEMO connectors are really, really over-engineered for this kind of thing, so it's not going to be like a USB port that can break or damage the more times you use it, especially USB Mini, which we've seen a lot. But LEMO connectors are actually designed for space usage and things like that. They're really, really hefty kind of components. They're proper solid.
It's a very high quality design choice. This isn't just like you plug in your USB-C cable or something. Like this is like a truly proper solution. You might not be able to swap in and out with your other keyboards as easily, but trade-off. And I do think that on a board of this caliber, I think that is the correct way to go. I really do think that the integrated LEMO cable here is smarter than just doing another USB-C port or USB B port, whatever.
And
I really do think
the one thing. Yeah, the one thing I want to call out about this as well is the type of the one that you're using. It actually can, it kind of screws into the case as the connector they're using. A lot of the other connectors, effectively, what they do is they kind of have like a flange around the edge, and they sit and they're compressed between on the case. It's kind of almost sitting between the case, and it's kind of compressed between the two to hold it in place. This is a much better solution, with a threaded insert and a particular type of cable. I haven't seen the design inside to be able to comment on this, but what I suspect is that it will use a daughter board that will connect it to the LEMO cable, and then you'll be able to use the standard USB breakout pins on the H87A and the other PCBs. I suppose I think that's what Project Keyboard are hinting at here in the IC.
Yeah, so under the PCB segment here, he does say it does support the H87A, which is that nice TKL QMK powered by Heinebusch that came out recently. Or any standard PCB with USB breakout. So that is going to be a requirement here to use the PCB in here. So just keep that in mind. And that's
so that you can use the breakout board that's connected to the LEMO, I suspect.
Yeah, but that I think by him saying this kind of leads us to believe that there might be something like an H87A or something comparable that will be offered either with or alongside the Kepler Group Buy. I think that would probably be the smart way to go about it.
Yep. I think this looks really good, though. I think all of these components put together look really, really strong. I think the design for the base is interesting as well. Those swooping curves down on the side, I really like that. It's a better implementation of some of the kind of the handles almost that we see on the keyboards. The true isolation mount, I'm a convert for that. I'm a massive fan of that, given the JO1 uses that exact same style and layout and the same gasket implementation, and I love that board to bits. So, I'm a massive proponent of this board already. I think it looks really, really good. The design's there, the angles are there. I like the thick bezels on the board as well. That's my kind of style. It looks chunky, it looks firm. Wing keyless is definitely the way to go on this because it just looks fantastic, especially with that silver top.
This is going to be a heavy keyboard too.
Oh, with that brass base.
That brass base, and like even the aluminum top, like you were saying, it's chunky. It's big.
Yeah.
Like between that chunky aluminum top and the all brass base, this is going to be a hefty keyboard. I wouldn't be surprised if this is easily 8 to 10 pounds. Price still to be decided. If we had the ballpark price here, what do you think this could be? Because this is, I think between the all brass base, the design, the curvature of it, the true isolation mount, this is not going to be a $400 keyboard. This is going to be quite a bit more expensive.
I mean, the limos for a start, you're talking $40 just for the connectors there. The brass base is going to be expensive. That curve is going to be expensive to mill. I know from the JO1, and I've done a small round of the JO1s recently, the gaskets where you need 3 particular layers of them to layer up, they have to be laser cut in a certain way, in a certain type of rubber. They're not particularly cheap. They're not massively expensive one-on-one, but all adds to the price. I mean, I think we'd be lucky if we saw this, around the $500 mark. I think that'd be.
If we're lucky, yeah, I think people in chat, Iconic Beef is saying $800. Neflock says $700 minimum. Mountain Block says $770. Nebulan says $600. So people clearly think that this is going to be a more expensive board, $600 to $800 perhaps, and I think that could be very likely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is, it's a great looking board. It's got some fantastic innovation in there with the isolation and that particular implementation of the Limo. I know we've seen it on other boards. I know we've seen both on other boards, but JO1 doesn't count as a production board because it was, there's 16 of them in total. That's it. It's a tiny, tiny board. It doesn't count. So this is the first time we've seen it in production, and I'm all for that. I think that's a fantastic idea. The Limos have only been seen on the Evil 80 and a couple of Korean boards, never on anything mass-produced, so this looks great for that as well. And that base is just stunning. I just love the way that base looks.
Yeah, the whole
that
board
first picture in the IC where you see that base on the right-hand side, it's just a monolith, isn't it? It's just awesome.
Yeah. This is a really high-end, elegant board. And there's just no getting around that. And, the price will probably match that, if I had to guess. One thing I did want to bring up, because I was kind of curious. So in this exploded view here, which is kind of the only view you really get of the bottom, unfortunately, but there's only 4 screws holding this entire board together.
Yeah. Which
I thought was kind of interesting. Like, there's not other screws for the plate or anything, obviously. It's just 4 screws for the entire board.
Yep.
Do you think that's like the proper way to do it? Does that make total sense, or do you think there's a better way to go about it?
I think it's fine. One of the things that we do, because they're clearly quite chunky screws, they're M3 or maybe even M4. They're definitely not tiny little M2s. One of the things that we do a lot of the time is we over-engineer stuff in keyboards that we don't need. I know from putting the JO1 together that I can hold it with just 4 in each corner, and that's broadly the same size as the TKL, given the fact that it's got macro columns on both sides. So I think that's fine. Yeah, I don't see any problems at all with that. I think it'll be absolutely fine.
Mr. Petrov says it's held down by the weight of its authority. That's probably true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got to remember that this is kind of almost that seamless design kind of style, because that top piece comes over the sides of the brass bottom piece to give you that nice flush thing there. Once that's on your desk, this is going to be that hefty. It ain't moving anywhere, right? So it only needs to have the screws to hold it together. Its own weight is going to hold this together more than anything. The screws are just going to be there to fasten it up and to stop it moving and rattling and things. So, I think this is fine in terms of its construction.
Yeah. This looks pretty awesome. One thing I will say is I was talking with them, and there is a very likely chance that I will be building a prototype of this relatively soon. So I'm hoping that comes to be, because that would be awesome. Obviously, we can't make any promises, but if Top Clack could build one of these on stream, I think it would be, I'm a little biased, but 2 thumbs up. So we'll see what happens here, because I definitely want to check this out just so I can see the actual quality of this board in its entirety. Try the true isolation mount, because I've never experienced that. This could be like the highest quality board I ever put my hands on. Who knows? Maybe.
And there is a really interesting comment on this thread as well. But it does say, is this where we see someone compete with Keycap?
Yeah, Keycap recently, like we talked about, I think on our last episode, is doing the number 2 in the classic stainless version, which is not terribly different in terms of like that kind of echelon of board. That's I think he has that up for like $885, and it has kind of a thin steel plate on the bottom. I would argue this is probably going to be a much heftier board.
Maybe, yeah, I think that's fair.
If that's your thing, that all brass base, man, is going to add so much weight.
Yeah. I think in terms of quality of components, both are really up there. We're talking about the Limo, that all brass base on this one, and in terms of Keycap, you're talking about that whole kind of design philosophy, the fitment of the parts, and we know that they've got a fantastic QC. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't get that from Project Keyboard, but proof's in the pudding with this kind of stuff.
And Dixie brings up a great point I want to touch on. He says, "Does quote unquote compete just mean price?"
I was thinking more in terms of quality than price. Quality and what what you're getting in terms of something with authority and something with desirability is what I was more thinking of than price specifically.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's not to say price wouldn't play a role in it too. I mean, when you're comparing,
of course,
when you're comparing things side by side, value is going to always come into play usually. If you're actually comparing things side by side like that. But anyways, we'll have to look forward to this. Hopefully we get to check out a prototype. Hopefully the group buy will be coming in the not so distant future. We'll have to wait and see.
I'm gonna go beg Project Keyboard to add ISO support to this. Starting right now.
I think he has stated in the past that he will have open plate files one way or the other.
Yeah, he will. Yeah.
Because he will do. A nice guy and he does that. So, cool stuff. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested in checking that one out. Okay. Moving on then, onto our second IC of the day. Here we have the Project Nebula by Eve Studios. So this is a little bit different to what we were looking at. This is much more of a different style, is how I'd put it. So the Eve is made by Eve Studios. Their previous problem was the Tai Chi board, which I think you talked about just on your own before Christmas, Brian, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly.
Yeah. So this is it's done by Eve, but I don't think it's designed by Eve. I think the designer is Okonomiyaki, who might actually be this user here on Geekhack, Mickey Berry. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
But regardless.
So this board has got some interesting side profiles. So again, it's a TKL. It's goes almost kind of dolphin Linger type cutouts to the side and kind of curves to the side. Rounded corners, standard TKL layout. Other than that, universal support when we look at some of the renders in terms of the plate design. It looks like the case from some of the pictures later on is kind of constructed with pieces that screw on from the sides as well, which is quite kind of interesting. Or the top piece kind of fits into the insert of the base, which comes up the sides as well. So I'd be interested to see how that actually fits together in reality. There isn't any numbers in terms of what I've seen around angle or anything like that. I don't know if you've seen this, Brian. I've only briefly glanced at the pictures rather than actually reading any of the text, but I don't think I saw anything in terms of the angle of the board or anything like that.
No, in fact, I gotta play a bad guy here as I have been a lot lately. This interest check thread is really rough. There's very, very, very little actual info about the board, but there's a ton of renders and a prototype that they don't terribly seem happy with. So it's kind of hard to say. It's like a design process, and there's multiple comments in the thread with tons and tons and tons of pictures that I wish were drop-down menus so I didn't have to scroll through this many pictures just to find something. But we got to have some kind of information about this. We need specs. We need specs.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We do. Looking at some of the pictures later on in the thread, and I think there's a picture with keycaps on the prototype and stuff. It's an interesting looking board. I think the angles are probably too sharp on those curves for me. It's kind of a little bit too in that curvy kind of style.
It follows a similar design language as we had seen previously from things like the Tai Chi TKL. You know, if I don't know if Okonomiyaki is the designer or just the group by runner, but whoever is designing this board likes those kind of angles, that curvature, and that's fine. It's definitely a design choice. I think we could probably surmise here that this is probably, judging by the renders, 7 to 9 degrees typing angle, in that range.
It looks like it's in there, yeah. I'd agree it's probably in there. It also looks like from a couple of the pictures where we see the plate out of the board on the table, it looks like it's top mount. Yeah. But that plate may be for another board, or it might be an early prototype or anything, but it does look like it's a top mount board, just looking at the design. Which is fine, fine with that. It does look like it's got a polycarbonate base as well. There is one where it's flipped over and you can see the base, and it does look like it's polycarbonate. But
in their physical prototype, yes, but I think, at least from what I was kind of gathering, is that might actually get taken away, because in the later comments where they showed newer renders, that's not there. It's presumably an aluminum bottom.
Okay, it's a one-piece bottom as well. There,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
This interest check thread is really hard to understand because there's a lack of information and things could be out of order. So it's hard to know. So we're kind of just surmising specs and information about the board at the moment. So probably about 7, 8, maybe 9 degree angle, top mount plate. It looks like there's going to be some kind of not integrated, but there's going to be like kind of an internal shell and an external shell.
Mm-hmm.
Separate
from the plate. Like an insert,
yeah. It looks like it'll be offered in a WinKey list version with blockers. Plate, at least if we're going by this, is a little bit universal.
Single bottom row, but you've got multiple options in terms of ANSI and ISO, but it's kind of very basic in that stepped and non-stepped caps, split left shifts, full left shift. ANSI and ISO enters, and split backspace look to be the options.
Nebulant pointing out in chat saying all those curves will be expensive to machine. It definitely adds to the machine time, which does add to the cost. So we'll have to wait and see. It's a pretty ambitious design. I think the potential is there. I think the thread needs to be cleaned up a lot. But we'll have to wait and see, because we know we have all these renders, but we have like no real information on the board. So
yeah, and you're absolutely right on the machining cost as well. It actually needs a different type of CNC machine. For this stuff, you sometimes need a 5 or even a 6-axis CNC machine. A lot of the boards we see that are kind of square and rectangular and kind of a lot simpler tend to only need a 3-axis CNC machine. So it is interesting that we're seeing this as well. So that probably will add to the cost.
Yep. So we'll have to wait and see where this project goes. We'll check it out again once it hits the group buy phase, if it does.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And next up, we have the Candybar, officially in group buy, or pre-order, I guess. Maybe not actually group buy, my apologies. Pre-order is what he has listed here.
Pre-order, yeah. So we talked about this on stream a couple of weeks ago when it was interest check. So for those of you who don't recall, there's 2 variations of this. There's kind of the standard version and the premium version. The standard version is almost like a sandwich kind of PCB and plate affair, and the premium version has a full CNC aluminium case that encapsulates the whole board, including the PCB as well. So there's 2 variations in terms of what you can look for. You can buy individual parts as well, so if you want a spare PCB or a plate, those options are available too. In terms of looking at the Candybar Premium, multiple different colours in terms of your plate and in terms of the case as well. So you can kind of choose from black licorice, mint chip, hubba bubba, and laffy taffy. So it'll fit in that candy theme.
They took our advice. Remember when we said on the interest check that you got to change black to be a candy theme with the rest of it?
Yeah, they also spelled licorice right as well now, which is nice.
very, very nice, very nice. Thank you, Key Company, or the Key.company for changing that. That makes me happy.
Yeah, yeah. One of the interesting choices you have on this as well is around the PCB. You can either pick the left PCB or the right PCB, and what that's referring to is where you want the numpad element. So you can either have the numpad element on, you can have the numpad element on the left side board as well. When you do pick the PCB, that make sure you pick the right plate that goes with it if you're going to buy this, guys, because you can pick the plate to match the left or the right side. So make sure you pick the same plate as you picked on the PCB, depending on what your preference is.
Yep. So pretty cool stuff. What do we think about the price here? So $219 gets you the full kit minus keycaps, if I'm not mistaken. I think
you get a plate, the PCB, the case, and no keycaps. That's for the $219. Okay. It's cheaper than the price that was originally, which is $100,000. I mean, that was a little bit on the high side, if I'm completely honest. I'm glad to see it's dropped down a little bit at least.
Yeah.
But it's worth bearing in mind that this is a tray mount as well. So although it's not tray mount because it's only it's not a particular deep board in terms of number of rows. It's only got 4 rows. It's not got tray mount points across the middle of the board as such. They're all on the outside edges. But it is tray mounted.
I'm going to argue against that, Jay. I'm sorry. I'm going to argue. I'm looking at the picture here. Like, this is going to be a firm tray mount. There are quite a few standoffs here, which is fine. You could totally do that, but let's not play this something off as something that it isn't. This is a tray mount keyboard, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Completely is. But they do all run round that edge. There's nothing in between the middle 2 layers is what I was trying to relate to. So all of the mount points are on that first layer all the way around the board. So you've got one set of keycaps all the way around the edge, and that's where your mount points are. There isn't any in the middle of the board. But as you say quite rightly, Brian, there isn't going to be any flexibility in the plate at that point because the mount points are still too close together to have any additional feel from that. I would be interested to see how different this would be to have a top mount version, because I do feel like that might be a little bit more.
It would certainly premium. Add to the price. It would quote unquote be more premium, but it would add to the price.
Would it make it more desirable? Not that I'm saying this isn't desirable, because I think this looks cute as hell. I think it looks great.
Oh, it's a cool looking product, and I do think it is priced well.
Yes,
but top mount is the favorite. It really is. The only reason we kind of have tray mount is because it's kind of like a standard on 60%. It's easy to just drop in and out different configurations. But I think on something a lot more unique like this, because there's not other layouts besides the Candybar. Like, it's this is it. There's no other boards that have the same layout. So it's not like you're going to be dropping in and out other configurations very often here.
Sure.
So I think that it would have been more desirable if it had used some kind of top or some kind of gasket or even like a sandwich mount design. But that would have driven up cost. I don't think there's any getting around that.
Yeah, one thing that I would be interested in seeing is like the T60 of mine that you've got at the minute, Brian, is where it's got the 4 posts in the corner or the sides to have tray mount that way, so you have flex in the middle of the board instead of laterally. You have it horizontally. It would interest me to see if you could do a version of this where you just had the 4 mount points in the corners effectively, and then the rest of the board had that flexibility in the middle. Because given it's about the width overall of the 60%, just over, that would be really interesting to see what that felt like.
Yeah. I think that probably would have been pretty successful here, honestly, because I'm using the T60 right now, and it really does make a large difference.
Yeah, it makes tray mount usable, in my opinion, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, back to the actual product. $219 for the tray mount kit. I think is pretty good. You can add a key set for anywhere from $55 to $65, depending on which version you choose. Laffy Taffy being the only $55 option. Classic Black, Hubba Bubba, and Chocolate Crisp are all $65. I'm trying to find out which ones are which here so I can show them off a little bit easier on stream. But effectively, just a nice cherry profile PBT key set going on here. I think they look pretty darn nice. And it's kind of cool. Yeah. Like we mentioned last time we talked about it, I think it's kind of fun. It's kind of whimsical with this particular product, which is, trying to be kind of a fun, whimsical product, being the Candybar theme. I think that having the matching key sets is really, really adorable and really kind of a home run here.
Absolutely agree. I want Chocolate Crisp as a full colorway, please, for a full keycap set for any board. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So, just like he was hoping to achieve, trying to get the board plus a key set for under $300, he succeeded. $219 plus even the $65 key set. Easy. Under $300. Yeah. Very nice.
Absolutely.
So that is up for pre-order right now The pre-order closes on May 10th, so you got a little bit less than a month to get in on this. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, just over 3 weeks. Yeah, and it's expected to ship around September 2019, so a couple of months until shipping. But yeah, good interest check. Interestingly, I know that the designer, we were talking to him in the chat the other week, he said he was going to do an exploded view, but I still don't see that exploded view anywhere. Yeah.
Feels bad. Well, I mean, we can kind of the new pictures that are up here, which have the plate in the case without the PCB, you can see how it is supposed to be. So yeah, that's good. That's good enough for me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right.
Oh, Blind Assassin's in chat. He's here. He says, blame Jason for that. I did give it to him. LOL.
All right, Jason, you're officially blamed.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're going to move on to our next topic, which is an interest check for the F62PE, which, if you've been around in the community for a little bit, you might have actually seen this before. This has seen other runs in the past, relatively small. There are not a ton of units of this out in the wild, but it's a pretty interesting board regardless. So I'm actually going to open up the previous group by thread, which has way more pictures, if I recall. Yep.
Yeah, there's another link.
Yeah, perfect.
You can fly through. Yeah. So this is a very, retro reminiscent board, I think. It evokes a lot of memories in terms of ancient keyboards from when I was younger, because I'm really old. My favourite thing about this is, as everyone knows, I love a pen rail. I have it on the JR1. I like it on the CA66. I like the fact that this board has got a pen rail too. It's one of my favourite things about it. But yeah, so in terms of some numbers, MOQ of 20. So the guy is he's in touch with Alf, who's going to do the CNC for this. He's trying to get 20 people together to buy it. $200. Oh no, he's crossed it out actually. Sorry, I'm just going to click over to the one. So the price will be the same as the previous group buy for the whole board, including the PCB and plate. I can't see a price on that thread.
Yeah, it's $390, which was what the previous run was, and that did include a PCB and a plate. This is a tray mount option, but it did include a PCB and plate with it. So $390 there. It's a little high, but let's take a look at maybe why it's so high. So for starters, this is a huge keyboard. This is a huge metal keyboard. That's a lot of aluminum. Not only is that a lot of aluminum, this is 7075 series aluminum. So this isn't that much softer,
dense,
cheaper, like 600 or 6000 series aluminum. This is like the more expensive, harder, like aerospace quality aluminum. So that is more expensive. So that is going to increase the price there. But that's the option he chose with. So. Yeah.
It's also worthwhile bearing in mind as well that because of the aluminium choice, they have to do the hard anodization. You can't do standard anodization, which again bumps up the cost. The other thing as well is I've seen the internals of one of these a long time ago at a previous meetup, and they're pretty much solid inside. All of these thick bezels are pretty much unmachined on the inside. They're just flattened off, and the screw holes go through and things. But the bezels on this are pretty much solid aluminium all the way through. It's not a hollow case like the CA66 was. There's just kind of space for the tray for the keyboard on the internal part. So if the design isn't changing, then that also speaks volumes for how hefty and chunky and well put together this board is going to feel.
Yeah, apparently the case alone, without anything in it, just the case, is 4 kilograms.
And to say there's no brass or anything else in there and it's just aluminium, that's a heck of a lot of
That's
aluminium.
A really heavy keyboard. Once built, it's going to be 5 kilograms maybe, like well over 10 pounds, probably like 4.5 kilograms. That's a really heavy board for a 60% in particular. I'm going to be honest, I kind of want one of these.
Yeah, I think I'd be tempted to try and get in on this if I've got the cash at the time. The other good thing about it as well is it's tray mount, it's universal. I think if I do get one, I'll be adopting the Zondat trick and milling out a couple of the posts in the middle and try and do that full mount post on it. But it's going to support pretty much any layout because there's universal plate options with it, and it is tray mount as well. So I'm quite interested by this, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, most certainly. I'd be interested to know I don't know if they actually say it anywhere. Oops, I don't know if they actually say it anywhere in here, but I'd be interested to know if they have an option for just the case. So like you can get it without the PCB and plate, so maybe a cheaper price. Maybe you already have those components laying around. You don't need them with this.
Sure.
So I would like to see that. Hopefully that does happen. Obviously this is still an interest check for this run, so we'll have to wait and see what actually translates over.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. I'm really excited for this though. It's kind of that whole classic retro vibe and feel, and it looks really nice. I'm dead psyched to see this run.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll pay attention to this. We'll check it out again once it hits group buy if it does. Good stuff. All right, let's. Okay, yeah, I'm in the right spot. Oops.
Jump on to the next one. Yep. Okay.
Right,
so the next topic we're going to talk about today is brought to us by Homro Co, Zambumon, and Martin, and this is the Wonderland and Lubrigante acrylic case, which is basically an acrylic Alice, for want of a better definition. It's an adaptation of the acrylic files that Yutsuki from TGR released of the Alice board, which has got Zambumon's kind of stamp on in terms of layout for the plates and some other design tweaks and changes. The PCB designed by Martin is also using the original Alice kind of layout and look and feel. But it's a completely original PCB, so it's not identical to the original Alice ones, but it's very close. Sadly, the group buy has finished while we've between last week's show and this week's show. So it went up just after last week's show. Did this the very next day, and the group buy has finished because they've hit more than 100 kits in terms of the form fill out. So quite a lot of people have been trying to get in on this, which is, understandable. Alice has been a hot property for a long time now. People can't necessarily afford an Alice, and this was a stonkingly good price, even for an acrylic board, at just over $100. $112 for a case, a PCB, all ready to go. Just add switches and keycaps, and it was a really good price. So I think as soon as this went up, people were jumping all over it. They hit the 100 unit or 100 entries quite quickly, and they're trying to deliver as quickly as they can on it. But it was a really short-lived group buy, but a really, really important one for the community, I think.
Yeah, like you said, the price, I think it's a very reasonable price. It looks pretty good. I think my absolute favorite thing about this entire group buy is that the PCB is called the Wonderland, which I didn't put two and two together at first, but the Alice in Wonderland, that's fun. That's fun. That's just fun.
Yeah, that was Martin's choice of name, from what I understand.
That's clever.
It is a very clever name. One of the interesting things about this is they've probably not sold the board in the image because they've put no stabilizers in it. It's just it's just switches in the board, but it does look really good. It's a nice, clean looking board. There were different options. We can't see on the form now, sadly, because it's closed. But there were different options in terms of colors. I did enter this, and the option that I selected was to be surprised by whatever colors I got. So
fun.
I haven't had an invoice yet, but hopefully when I do and I pay that, hopefully Homro, Zambon, and Martin are kind to me and send me something nice color-wise. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're cruel and send me some kind of Harlequin kind of multicolored product. So we'll see. But either way, it'll be a fun build. I'm excited to see.
So just for my information, because I feel a little bit behind on this one, Homebro Co. is comprised of who?
So Homebro Co is a singular person. He's the guy who's behind the laser cutting of the acrylic, from what I understand. Zambumon in terms of changing Yutsuki's file to this, which is the Lubrigante, and then Martin from a PCB perspective. So all three of them working together to produce the product.
Got it.
Okay. I think that's how it's spelled. That's to the best of my knowledge. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but that's as far as I understand.
Okay, that makes sense. For some reason I was under the impression that Homero Co was a culmination of these people.
No, just a singular person, as far as I understand.
Got it. Cool. So obviously you guys can't join this, so I won't tell you to go join it. But, maybe they'll have extras. Maybe they'll do another run. Who knows? I mean, if it met 100 kits in less than a week, it's probably gonna do fairly well. I wouldn't be surprised if they run another version.
I think that's the intention, yeah. And Iconic Beef as well, saying forced non-ISO layout. Surprise. That's true, but you can't put ISO on an Alice layout because the design of the layout doesn't work for that, because of that kind of staggered edging to it. You can't put an ISO key there. It just doesn't work. There's no way to. You'd actually have to change the design completely and the layout completely to be able to accommodate it. It is doable, but it would not be anything reminiscent of an Alice if you did that. So I completely understand that design decision. There's no challenge from me on that one on this board.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to look forward to the second round of this potentially.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm tempted to do actually, Brian? If I do get one of these, I'm tempted to send it to you because I've never had a board built by you, so I might get you to build it for me.
It probably won't feel terribly different than a board built by you, unless I lose the switches, and then it'll feel way better than anything you've ever felt in your life.
Wow, that's you're talking a strong game here.
You like that confidence?
I do like the confidence. I think you're wrong, but I like the confidence. I like the fact that you're going to try it. But now you're if I get one of these, you are now
I gotta do it.
Yeah, including the switches, you're lubing them. So there we go. Yeah.
All right. Well, sign me up. We should do a swap-a-roo where you build one of my boards and I build one of your boards.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for that any day of the week.
Osiris says those are fighting words. That's right. If there's one thing I'm not short on, it's confidence.
Nebula says he's got boards lubed by both of me. Now that's not fair because the switches I lubed for that were you can't class them as a decent option for switches. I think they were Arctos switches. So if I remember correct, either that or they were Utemu Skies. So either way, that's not a fair comparison because I suspect you got something nice switch-wise from Brian.
I think mine might have been questionable as well. I think he has Xylens.
Oh, right, okay.
I think he has Xylens lubed by me that I wasn't totally happy with, so I just decided to sell them for kind of cheap, and he bought them or something like that.
Okay.
I think something like that. Yeah, I don't really remember.
Okay. Nebula won a giveaway on my old streams before I joined Top Clack. Nebula won my KBD67 giveaway,
and he picked the wrong switch option. I remember. Yeah.
He did. I can't remember. I basically gave him choice of any switch I had in my collection and said, "Whatever I've got, dude, it's up to you." And he picked. I can't remember whether it was Arctos or whether it was Utemu Skies, but it was one of the two, and it was like. I only put them in there because that was part of the collection. I didn't actually expect to pick them, but he did. Anyway.
Oh, Nebula. Anyways, let's get back on topic here. That is the now concluded group buy for the Wonderland PCB and Lubrigante acrylic case. Let's move on to a group buy that you can still get in, if you're into pain. So this is the Pain 27 V2.
Yeah, and
we
saw the V1 last year, and now it has a V2.
And what a keyboard this is. So, if you guys haven't seen the V1 of the Pain 27, it doesn't look terribly different than this V2. The idea, I'm trying to find a picture of it with caps on, come on, or at least switches. Okay, that's probably good enough. Oh, there we go. So, the idea is that you don't have mods. Any kind of mods. You have your alphas and your spacebar, and that's it. That's all you have.
Yeah.
So, this is a pretty... I'm going to call it a non-functional layout. Let's be totally real here.
I think there's a potential opportunity for someone to be good enough to use one of these.
Okay.
From what I remember, the spacebar is actually on tap and hold. So if you tap it, it's space, and if you hold it, it gives you your function keys. That's how I remember the original keys.
It gives you all of your function keys, Jay? The spacebar gives you all of your function keys?
Holding the spacebar and tapping random letters gives you... Well, not random ones, but tapping specific letters gives you your function keys, yes.
Okay, maybe usable for one or two people in existence, but for the rest of us, this is a novelty, let's be real. He has it in a picture frame here, man, with a little Austin Meetup Spring 2019, I'm assuming acrylic, probably, little frame here.
That's not a picture frame, that's a forearm rest. Brian, what are you talking about? That's a forearm rest. This is a perfectly usable keyboard with a nice forearm rest. I don't understand what your challenge on this one is.
All right, so Jay is officially fired. I'm going to open up a forum real quick for anyone that likes to maybe wants to be my new co-host.
Before you get about 1,000 applicants.
Yeah, and before the forum goes really well. Anyways, let's take us through some of the specs of this, because this is a pretty interesting product here.
So interestingly enough, this is actually being run on Etsy, and what that does mean is I can't check the dollar prices because Etsy converts instantly to GBP. But What we're talking about here is you get a matte black PCB with a white silk screen and gold-plated pads, which is nice, simple, traditional as part of the community. A hardware set for the case, which is your acrylic pieces. A Micro Pro controller with headers. It comes pre-programmed as well with the key map that we'll show in a second, right at the very bottom of the interest track. All of the diodes, the RGB strip, and the stabilizer that you need as well. In terms of case options, you've got two. You've got the basic case, which is 2 pieces of 3mm acrylic, and then kind of sandwiched together. Or you've got the premium case, which is 7 layers of acrylic, a cut for MX switches, and you kind of stack that up a little bit like the Alice we saw earlier on, where it's a full-on case surrounding it as well. So there we go. That's pretty much the options. The PCB is the same for everyone. There's no there's no difference in PCB. It's kind of what it is. But yeah, it's an interesting little novelty toy, as Brian says. I think that is the right way of.
I feel like you know what would be really cool with this is to actually get 2 of these, one for each hand, and you
Sure.
and you use one for your alphas and your spacebar. Then you set all of your mods to your other hand.
That would be difficult. Where I thought you were going to go.
Really, that'd be more difficult than this. Really,
maybe.
Jay.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't imagine using mods with one hand and alphas would do that. I don't think my brain works that way.
Well, it's obviously a learning curve, as typing on all alphas would be also. But
yeah, that's true.
But I think at the very least it'd be fitting for the theme, right? The theme is pain. So,
Sure.
twice the pain, more pain equals more better, right?
Are you going to glue thumbtacks upside down to the key switches so that you get more pain for your typing?
Yes, of course.
Is that how we need to?
Yes, 180 gram springs, and each key has a thumbtack in it.
Ooh,
so you have to bleed every time you hit a key. Absolutely. Yep. I don't think there's any other way to do it. Being in America, I can actually see the price here on Etsy. It looks like the starting option, if you want the kit with the basic case, is $35. The kit with the premium case is $45. That will, of course, include your PCB as well as your components, if I'm not mistaken. So that's I mean, to have the most expensive option be $45, pretty darn reasonable here. It's kind of like a novelty, it's maybe a stocking stuffer if you're around Christmas or something.
It would be a good candidate for our dual build stream where we're doing a race for building a board. Something like this would be ideal for that. But yeah, in terms of the price in GBP as well, it's pretty cheap. $23 for the first option and £23 for the first option and £35 for the second one. So yeah, it's really good price wise, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty interesting stuff. Make sure you jump on this if you want. It's ran on Etsy, which I think is kind of odd. That's not normal for group buys, right? That's pretty far-fetched in our community.
I've never seen one on Etsy before, but unless the original one ran on here, I'm not sure if it did. But yeah, it's the first one I've ever seen. Yeah. So
is the premium case the one that says Austin Meetup Spring 2019 in that acrylic plate there? Is that something that you can buy? Is that an option here?
No. Yeah. So if you click on the shop owner at the top on Etsy, if you go onto the Etsy store. And then you click on the shop owner at the top, you can see that he does have the frameable edition for sale. That's not the premium one, the frameable edition.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it looks like it'll cost you about $9 US to get that frame.
For the frame.
See, I think that's really fun. That's a really fun idea.
It is, yeah, it is nice. Especially the fact that it's got the Austin meetup on there as well. If you're part of that, or you're going, I don't know if the Austin meetups happen or not, to be honest with you, but if you're going to that or you have been to it, then it's really nice. It is really a nice little souvenir.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. Good stuff. The group buy is open until May 5th, so if you like pain or maybe you want double the pain, there you go. Open till May 5th. Double the pain.
Awesome. Okay, so moving on from keyboards, we're now going to finally get onto key sets. We've only been going for an hour and a half, but we're going to finally move on to key sets now. So we're going to open up with a Key Talk interest check by Zapocalypse, or I presume I'm pronouncing that correctly, for GMK Darling. Now, I don't know what the background of this is. I don't know what 02 or Darling in the Frank X text, but I do like this key set. So when he was teasing it in Purple Chat on Talk About Discord the other day, I really, really like these colours. These colours fit really well together. I'm really happy with them. They look really lovely together, and I really like this key set. Yeah. So what do you tell me, educate me, Brian, on where's this from? What's the inspiration for this? Because I don't I don't know that.
Okay, well, like he says in the thread, which by the way is really well laid out. This is a home run interest check. This is how all interest checks should be laid out, pretty much. So this is inspired by the character 02 from the anime Darling in the Franxx, which, being the weeb that I am, you'd think I would have seen this because it was a pretty popular show, but I actually haven't seen this show yet, so I can't make any comparisons to that. But that is what it is inspired by. And he's got a really good breakdown of the colors here, why he chose the colors, what they actually pertain to. He's got renders on the keyboard. He's got your base renders here, kind of a base kit going on, some supplemental kits as well, including ISO there for you, Jay.
Which is into base kit as well. So I'm really happy with that base kit because I really like. I don't usually like these types of sub legends. It's usually not my kind of thing, but I think it really works on this set, and I really like it. And I like the red and pink together with the white to just kind of make it pop. It just really works for me. There's this key set. That red's not too bright. It's subtle enough. Yeah.
I really like having the white as the accent keys. Yeah, I think that works unbelievably well.
What I would like to see on this is just to see how it looks with a white space bar. I don't know if that would add too much white or if it'd be enough, but I would like to see what that looks like and potentially have an option in the space bar kit. Because I do, as you said, the white accents with this board really, really make it pop and make it look really clean and nice, and I like that a lot.
I think that's very successful. One thing I'd like to see is just more renders, mo better renders, because the only one we kind of have on a board is this first one, which is on a really interesting looking full-size board that I've never seen before. I don't know if this is something in the works as well, or if this is just something random, but this is a pretty neat looking project as well. But we get a general kind of look at it from here, but I would like more renders. We've been so spoiled lately with interest checks and group buys having so many renders and pictures that I feel like it's just unavoidable now. You just kind of have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there may be a site later on that we're going to talk about that may help people with their renders as well.
That's true. So we'll have to wait and see where this key set goes, because I think the potential is really, really strong here. I think it's this could definitely sell very well.
Yeah, I'm really a fan of this key set. It's not usually the type of thing that I would go for, but I genuinely adore this. I think it's absolutely lovely to look at. That kit breakdown is just so nice, and I've got just a big shout out as well for this kit as well, this base kit. And I like it. It's called the all-in-one solution because it does cover pretty much everything. It covers your TKLs, it covers your full size, your 65%, 60%. It's got ISO and ANSI options for your arrow keys and your navigation keys. Multiple bottom row options. I just think it's a really well laid out kit. If you are going for that type of kit that covers pretty much everything, this is a really, really strong base kit for me. I can't see anything missing that anyone would need to cover a board, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to wait and see. But definitely good luck to Zerpocalypse on this one. I think this is his first interest check and or group buy. So
okay.
Good luck to him on this. Hopefully we can get some updates in the near future and talk about this again once it hits the group buy phase.
Yeah, the only last thing I want to say on it, is there any plans for any novelties on this one, given its background, where it comes from? Because I know that sets are usually themed on anime and things like that. They usually tend to have some sort of novelties that fit it. I don't know if that's in the plan or if it's in the works or something that's being considered. But even though I don't know what the anime is, I'd be interested to see them.
He says yes, there are. Cool.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
I also like that it's full icon mods, even for the bottom row.
Oh yeah, nice. I did have that on my notice to mention as well. Yeah, icon mods, perfect. Yeah.
Love it. Good stuff. Moving on to other things that a lot of us love. Was that too subtle of a segue to the name of this key set? I was trying to.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
It was fine. I thought it was
okay.
Fine.
After I said it, I was like, wait. I wonder how many people are actually going to get that. But hopefully, all of you guys are probably smart enough. It's okay. Or stupid enough. I don't know.
Everyone had got it even before you tried to clarify it, I think.
Well, yeah. I think we all understand what 8008 is supposed to be. So this is the interest check officially for GMK 8008 by Garrett Sucks, a.k.a. Dixie Mech. So we did cover a little bit of a teaser, I think, on the last episode, but it wasn't actually officially an interest check yet. It was kind of just some pictures on his new website. But now he actually has the official interest check up, and oh boy, am I excited for this set.
Yeah, so again, as we said last week, it's a really good mix of kind of grey blues, bright pinks, subtle colours, mixing with that flash of colour. His base render's still wrong. He's still got the 2 pink ANSI enters, which I called out last week. He still hasn't fixed that, but I don't know, you're playing at Dixie. But both, I think it's fair to say that both Brian and I really have a lot of fondness for this set. We both really, really like the fact that it has that kind of subtle alphas with the bright splash of pink to just make the set pop. It works really well together. Again, the base kit has got a lot of options in there. I know the kits are up for discussion at the moment. ISOs in the base kit, I absolutely adore that, as everyone knows. But even if it wasn't, the rest of the base kit is pretty much, self-explanatory. There's a lot of stuff in there, multiple options for your bottom row, 65% TKL. Everything's pretty much covered. HHKB. It's a really strong base kit again, one that's targeting a lower price. Icon mod set as well, Brian.
Yay! I love icon mods, man. And I really do love the colors in this set. This is one of those sets where, I'm usually not an accent key kind of guy. I feel like the accents work so well in this set.
Yeah, the pink's not too bright and it's not too dull either. Now, I know that Garrett's already said that he's already got the colour swatches mapped with GMK for this, so he's already been able to confirm that they can produce these colours as well, which is really exciting. If they can get that pink, that's one of the nicest pinks I think I've ever seen. It's kind of a bright, hot pink, but soft at the same time. It's a really nice colour.
Yeah, it almost starts to feel kind of pastel. Just barely, and I really love that.
It's a pastel highlighter, right? It's kind of that bright, vivid, but pastel at the same time. It's interesting, yeah.
And of course, the theme here is Garrett once in his life saw a sports bra, and then GMK 8008 was born.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's the theme behind this key set.
Yeah. He saw that, and that's it. Do you know what the best part about this interest check as well is? Garrett has done the world a favour. Right down at the bottom, underneath the last picture, he's done a comparison to another set that we all think is very similar to this set, just to show that it is
really
different.
I haven't seen that yet. Do people actually think that this set looks like GMK Olivia?
People think that all of Garrett's sets look like GMK Olivia. So as you can see there, I can see a lot of resemblance between the two. So, I think one thing Garrett does need to do is try and step away from that copying Olivia kind of feel for his key sets.
You're such a meme, Joe. You're such a meme.
I like to wind him up on it, that's all. But no, it's completely different set. It's so far removed from it.
I mean, I'm colorblind, and I can tell this is not anywhere close to what Olivia looks like. But it is funny that he put it there.
Yeah, I like the fact that he played up to the meme for it as well. And the last thing he does say in the interest to check as well, literally the last sentence is, we will have a special artisan offering with this set that you have not seen before. So,
what do we think that means? Do we think that means that it's just from a designer that doesn't normally do artisans for GMK sets? Because obviously there've been a lot out there lately. We've had a lot of things from Nightcaps in the past. We've had a lot of things from Keyforge for some GMK sets, and
Rama as well.
As well. A variety of other artisans. So is this maybe just a new artisan maker, a different artisan maker that we usually don't see with GMK
potentially
sets?
It's either that or it's maybe a new sculpt that we haven't seen. It could be a known artist with a new sculpt. Potentially that's something.
A sports bra artisan, easy. Okay, there we go.
Maybe
we cracked the case, boys. Pack it up. We're done.
Just to clarify as well, NP Spears has said he was inspired by his wife wearing the sports bra, right? Just his wife. No, he was actually inspired by me wearing the sports bra when we went for a run a couple of months ago.
And me.
Sorry. Yeah. Brian was wearing it as well. We were just both there in our hot pants and bras, and Garrett came with us, and it was a really good afternoon actually.
It was fantastic. It's really, really quite nice. It was lovely. Anyways, he does say that the set is still a few months out. He doesn't want to run it during the kind of GMK frenzy that's going on right now, as he says. So he says,
that's fair enough.
Yeah, most likely third quarter. So we're still coming up on it. It's not too far away. He does have some lovely renders here, of course, on the Bower. Big surprise there. Looks absolutely stunning. Then he also has some renders on the Dharma by Youngblood. And I've actually not heard of this board before.
Oh really? Okay, so this is kind of like a mini 1800 layout that Jan's been teasing for a while. Certainly in the EU community, anyway. I've seen this a few times, which is kind of like a two-piece case construction with seamless design. So there's kind of like a bottom piece, and the top piece sits over the top of it. Very similar to the TKL from Project Keyboard we saw right at the very beginning. But yeah, so the Dharmas are kind of watch this space kind of thing. Yeah, prototype soon is what I'm hearing.
Yep, very nice. And of course, on the M60A, classic board to render on. Love that as well.
Yeah. No, it looks great in all of the layout options and choices. This a set I'm definitely going to be picking up.
Yeah, awesome interest check, awesome looking set, if we do say so ourselves. Amazing in-depth theme behind it, clearly. Love that.
Yeah. Hey, designers, man, inspiration can strike from the weirdest of places.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so good luck on this. Obviously, this is probably going to happen. It's gotten a lot of really positive feedback so far, so I don't think we have to worry about this set actually coming to fruition, because I think it just will.
Yeah, Dixie's saying the public is creating the meme around this, not me. This is not a meme set, IMO. I don't think it's a meme set at all. I think it's a lovely set.
No, yeah.
And we were joking earlier on about the Olivia comparisons, and I know that's a meme in it and of itself, but in terms of the set, I don't think it's a meme at all. I think it's lovely. The name might be a bit tongue-in-cheek because of the inspiration, but
yeah,
the actual set itself is fine.
I was about to say that. The set is one of the nicest sets I've ever seen in my keyboard career. Like, this is easily one of the nicest sets I've ever seen. I am 100% going to be buying this. But you can't name it 8008, imply that it means boobs, and not think it's a meme. Let's be real here. Especially when you say, I saw a sports bra, 8008 was born. That was all you, man. You started this. You started this.
Do you know what's really interesting as well is that the 8008 logo at the top actually has a T and a C in it, so he's paying homage to us as well as maybe it was his early design for Top Pack.
Oh, is that what that is?
Well, it is now. That's what I'm taking it as.
Wow,
as far as I'm concerned, that's a Top Pack logo, right?
Yeah, Dixie getting really subtle here. I like that. Perfect.
Yeah. So he was really, really subtle with the Dixie branding in his previous logo entry, and in this logo entry, he's really, really subtle with the Top Clack logo entry. So
yeah, perfect. Good. We appreciate that, Dixie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to another interest check for a GMK set that looks like it also has a ton of potential. So this is GMK Dark, a simple two-tone set with high compatibility to existing GMK sets. So this isn't a colorway we've never seen before. This is something that's totally happened, not in GMK. I think this might be the first GMK, but it's kind of that black on like really dark gray. I like to call it a charcoal. Joy PBT has been doing this stuff for a long time, but what is really interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just want to clarify before we get to it. So interesting enough, there's two sets that have run previously that are very similar to this. One being GMK Accent, which came with the Accent keyboard, that had red accents as well. But in terms of the actual key set, that was black on black. I know this is black on dark grey, but it was very similar. And also GMK Doom, which failed to meet MOQ, was very similar to this as well. So just to draw them out as well. But this looks really good. I like this a lot.
So one thing I thought was really, really interesting in this interest check is that he obviously it's a nice key set in its own right. It's a nice, simple two-tone set. We like that. I like that kind of subdued, subtle look. But he's really kind of advertising and marketing this as a key set that you would use with other key sets. So most of his renders here are with the GMK Dark alphas or mods or whatever. And then he uses other mods and alphas from other sets. So like here he's got it with Violet Tendency mods. Here he's got it with Skydulch mods and accents. Here he has it with Terminal alphas. So he's really trying to show you that this set has a lot of potential for not just using it on its own, but using it with other key sets and just trying to make something totally new. Which I've never really seen that idea been pushed before with a GMK set.
No, and we kind of touched on this a couple of weeks ago on the show, and we said that, were we going to see a return for just alpha sets and just mod sets, and the whole GMK mix and match that used to be really common in the community a couple of years ago, and has gradually dissipated as we get more and more sets out there. You kind of expected that GMK mix and match would have increased, not decreased, and I think this is really trying to pick up and play on that kind of, look, guys, you can have a really cool dark key set, GMK Dark, or you can mix and match it with other things, and you can have, some brighter elements or some darker elements, and you can kind of, really come up with something a bit fresher and unique and more personalized to you and really customized to you. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I've said this in streams in the past before, too. This used to be a really popular thing where people would take 2 GMK sets, put them together, make a new set, put it on their keyboard, whatever. It's cool. People still do that, but it was really, really, really common, and now it's quite a bit less common from what I've seen in the community. But the problem with that is it's expensive, man. Putting 2 GMK sets effectively on a keyboard, that's a lot of money. GMK sets aren't cheap, and using 2 of them together is obviously really not cheap. So I like where he's kind of going with this, but I think to really pull this off is going to be kind of difficult. Because at the end of the day, you're still buying a full GMK set here. He does say he's really going to be trying to make efforts to make this as cheap as possible, and I think we're kind of seeing that with the way his base kit is laid out. It's pretty cut and dry. There's compatibility, but there's not a ton. He does have additional kits after that. So I think if the price can get low enough, this could be pulled off pretty well. But it's at the end of the day, you still might just be putting 2 GMK sets together, and it's still going to be expensive.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that. I kind of agree. I think I'd like to see this make it through to group buy stage though, because I think just as a key set in and of its own right, it's really nice, and it kind of works. And I really like. I've got GMK Exempt on my Zephyr, and I really like that key set. It's kind of black on black. It's a lovely look. So I think we should see more of that. And as you say, EPBT have been doing this for years, and it really works for them. So. I'm all for this one. Yeah,
I have no doubt that this can be a successful key set. I think just even having the key set in its own right, just the black on the really dark gray, is going to be successful. People will buy that. We've seen time and time again these monochrome or dual tone key sets just work really, really well. They sell well all the time. So no doubt there. I like the way he's marketing this. I just hope it's as successful as it can be.
Yeah, one of the things to bear in mind as well is that black on dark grey might be not the most legible of key sets to read. I know it's really clear in the renders, but whether that translates into real life plastics, that's kind of a concern. Now, in the wrong light, GMK Exempt, I'll be honest, is very difficult to see the legends of. If you've got a dark room or you just use a monitor light, it's quite difficult to see. In a normally lit room, or like the room I'm in right now, it's dead easy to see, but in certain conditions, it's harder to view.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had the same issues. I've owned Enjoy PBT sets with this colorway before. The stock black on black Real Force caps from the Real Force round ones are the same way. If you don't have really good lighting, you don't know what the legend says, basically. So we'll have to kind of wait and see here. I think if the gray can be light enough and the black can be deep enough, I think you can get an okay contrast here. But chances are, it's going to struggle in some lighting scenarios, one way or the other.
I agree, yeah. But that doesn't stop it being a classic or classy colorway in any way, shape, or form. I think it'll be really good to see this. So I'm all for seeing it make it to production.
Yeah, this is a set I'd probably buy regardless, as long as it's, relatively inexpensive.
Yep. Same. And I'll just pray that the ISO kit makes it to MQ. Although the good thing with this is, even if the ISO kit doesn't make it to MQ, I could just put some, keys from another key set and follow its instruction.
Yeah, exactly.
So, options are available.
Yeah. So if this is your kind of thing, or you like this idea a lot, make sure to show interest in this, as this is an interest check. Make sure you get in there and tell them what's good and what's bad and what your thoughts are.
Absolutely. Okay. So moving on, another GMK set, and we did briefly touch on this one right at the end of the show last week because someone mentioned that it had gone up, but we'd gone too far in the show to discuss it.
Yeah.
But this is GMK Voyage, not GMK Uranus, as the designer likes to confirm. Again, it's a kind of standard GMK key set, but it has kind of a special significance in terms of its inspiration, and it comes from the Voyager 2. So if anyone doesn't know the Voyager missions, they were 2 missions that were launched back in the 70s, I believe, whereby we've got probes that are basically streaming outside of the solar system. They're right up at the outer limits of our solar system right now, and they've had, as the runner says here, a magnificent journey. So he's kind of like wanting to celebrate that. But what the original Voyager's mission was to try and investigate Uranus and Neptune, which is where the kind of inspiration for this kit comes from. The kind of colours that we see of those planets in the sky when we observe them. And that kind of gives it all these kind of different shades of blue. So there's kind of like a deep blue that's on the mod keys. It's kind of like almost a black, dark, deep blue of space. And then we've kind of got a paler blue, which is kind of a bright blue that matches Neptune, and then kind of like the pale blue, which is on the legends and on the accent keys. Which kind of represents Uranus as well. So really, really interesting the way that these bluish colours have been put together. What do you think of the kit, Brian?
The kit in itself, I think it looks... This is actually my first time really looking at it. Give me a second. I think it looks fine. I think that there could be maybe a little bit more compatibility, but I think there's still... You cover a lot of the bases here. It's definitely not an issue. As far as the colors go, I think it's pretty good. I'm kind of a sucker for any key set that like really fits a theme, a true theme, and they really kind of go out of their way to tell you about it and like tell you the ideas behind everything. That makes me like a key set more. It makes me feel more invested in it, as opposed to just being like, here's 3 colors, whatever. It's like here's the idea. Like this is what makes sense. So I do like that a lot. I think this can be a very successful set. I think it looks quite nice. He has some proposed novelties here that look okay. They're not my favorite, but they look okay.
See, I would disagree. I think those novelties are incredible, mainly because a lot of them either refer directly to the planets, directly to the probe, or they actually have some of the symbols that are on the golden discs on the Voyagers. So for those of the people that don't know, the Voyagers kind of like have a message to the stars on them, and if any other alien intelligence ever finds them, as kind of like a history of humanity on there, and all sorts of other bits and pieces, some text, and some Carl Sagan wrote a script for them, and all sorts of other bits and pieces that are kind of on the probes as they go out of our solar system, and paying homage.
So I did not know that. So that makes me like them even more, because there's that much of a reason behind it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that first one is actually kind of like the symbol for the mission itself, and that's kind of stamped right on this gold plaque that's on there. So it just adds another layer to it for me. Does that the fact that he's taken inspiration from something that's billions of miles away from Earth now, that's streaming at stupendous speeds outside of our solar system, and these missions are literally right about to go outside of the bubble, the sphere of our solar system. They're passing through that peripheralion at the moment, so it's really, really interesting times in terms of astronomy. I think this sets the time perfectly for that. So for those people that really get the kind of influence of this, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, awesome, great stuff. Then I definitely think it looks great as well. He's got some renders here on the Wilbur Tech Thermal. Please group by soon. That I think it looks quite lovely on that, as well as the Satisfaction 75 down here. It looks stunning on that as well.
It does, yeah. I'm actually using my Satisfaction 75 right now. Yeah.
Does it satisfy you?
I'm very satisfied. UPAS is very, very satisfying.
Wow, nice, fantastic. All right. So yeah,
but I really like this key set. I think it's great. So shout out to the designer NASP if you're watching, or if you do watch this. I really, really like this key set. I like everything it stands for, not just the colours, but the whole thing that you've based it on as well.
Yeah, totally agree. This would definitely be something I would check out. Definitely be something I'd probably buy it, honestly.
In fact, I hadn't realised this, but I'm first post on the thread saying that I really like the set. So there we go. Yeah, I was the first poster on there.
What a suck up, Jay. Just kidding. Man, I really think this looks great on the this color of thermal too.
On the thermal.
I'm so ready for that group 5, man. So ready.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait for that board. It's looking It's looking really good.
Anyways, let's move on out of key sets and talk about some other things that have been happening in the community. I mean, I guess this does still pertain to key sets, but not necessarily in the same way. So this is kind of an interesting thing that just got posted up by user Pingu, who I think kind of developed this whole website. And the idea is something we've seen before. We've had KBRenders.com around for a little while now, and the idea is kind of just, you put your colors in and you choose a render, and you get the key set renders that you want with the colors that you want. So that way, if you're maybe not so skilled like Jay or myself, or maybe you're not so good in Photoshop or insert program here or whatever, Illustrator, but if you're not so good with that, then maybe you can fall back on something like this, where it gives you a bunch of default renders and you choose what colors that you want, and it basically spits out whatever key set you're looking at, whatever design you're trying to go after. So I think this is really, really, really helpful for the community. I've never actually used kbrenders.com, but in the interest of this episode, I did check keycaprenders.com out before the show to try to see how it worked. And I was, if I'm being honest, it was a little hit or miss with me, but I like where they're going. So generally, the way it kind of works here is you pick, you guys can't see this drop-down menu, unfortunately, because OBS is silly, but you pick out whatever board you want. Let's say you want the Ion Zeno, you want a close-up version of it. You can pick that out here, and that'll show up here after a couple seconds of loading. And then you go down here, and then you choose what colors that you want keycaps and legends and stuff to be. Unfortunately for this, unless I'm just stupid and maybe I missed it, nothing changes on the fly here with the colors.
Correct.
So the way that
the rendering in the background, it's kind of like submitted into a queue, and then the renders are created for you based on the inputs that you've selected, and then you get an email with the renders on a point later in the future. I don't think they take particularly long. When I was doing this for key set the other day, I think they took 15-20 minutes, and it was in my inbox, and the render quality was pretty good.
Certainly. It tells you, it gives you an estimate time and what number in the queue you are when you generate the render, which I thought was a nice touch. Mine said 22.5 minutes. I think it came in about 10. So that was pretty cool. But I really like that this is a tool that's available to the community. Shout outs to Pingu for doing this. I think it's really, really great and helpful for a lot of us. What my only major gripe is that the colors don't change in real time when you're changing them in the actual form. Because if you want to see what things look like pretty quickly, you have to generate a lot of renders and get a lot of emails. You can't just be like, what does this red look like with this white or something like that. I wish it were a little bit more intuitive that way, but I'm not a programmer, I'm not a coder. I don't know how hard that is to do on a system like this.
The problem with the renders is it's processor intensive, so it takes time to generate the renders. So it's not something that can be done on the fly in a browser window, unfortunately. So I did have a bit of a chat with Pingu about it. He mentioned it was technically limitations to be able to do. But given the fact that you're only waiting 10, 15, 20 minutes for these, if you've got a few different ideas, you've kind of probably already worked out in KLE whether you like the lookout and what the colours look like. So by the time you get to this stage, even if you submit 2 or 3 over a couple of days, it's generally pretty easy to get the updates. It's not like it's slow. It's not like you're waiting for someone to manually do these. Although Janlad, Botskis, and people like that, the renders are absolutely fantastic and amazing. If you ask them, you most likely you're going to be waiting a number of days to be able to get something back off them, because they're busy people, right? They've got day jobs,
absolutely,
and they've got things to do. So this is very much a much faster method to get them automated into you.
Yeah, I think this is definitely an awesome tool for the community.
For sure.
There's no getting around that, and it's free. It's really straightforward to use, and I think as long as you kind of have, like you said, a kind of at least a vague idea of what kind of colors you want to go with, you can spit out some renders over a little bit of time. But it's a little harder if you're maybe starting from scratch and you're like, maybe I want to see what this looks like with this, and now I want to change this and try with these accents. You're probably going to be waiting a long time on renders to get all of them. But
for sure,
that it's compromises. It's a cool tool and it's a free tool, so can't really complain a whole lot, right?
Oh yeah, for a free tool, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it's not something I would ever complain about. Big shout out to a lot of the. So this has been driven by a lot of the EU community. So I just want to say well done to Pingu for pulling it together. I think if I remember rightly, it was Heinebusch and Rosakin who provided all of the keycap models. Egler did a lot of the work on the design and the layout of the website, and Stormlex is hosting the site if I remember rightly. So big shout out to all of those guys and everyone else who's submitted boards to put on there. I think Pingu is working with designers to get more board assets in there so you can do more renders of things. So be fantastic to see more and more options on there.
Yeah, it's a good start already, though. Honestly, they already have the IDB60, the M60A, the TGR Alice, the Ion Zeno, the cable car designs Onzi, the Brutal 60 from Cannon Keys, and I've never even seen this one before. The Kikuichi Monji by Bisaromi. I'm gonna load this just because I've never seen this board before.
Have you not seen it? It's a little bit of a meme board, I think, but it's an interesting board.
That's pretty meme. It's kind of cute though.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah.
A TKL without the function row. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that an interest check? I don't think we've covered this before.
I don't think it was an interest check board, if I'm honest. I think it was.
Oh man, that is cute though.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So yeah, guys, if you're looking into making a key set and maybe you have a vague idea of what kind of colors you want so far, this is going to be a great place to start testing things. It really is.
Yeah, come up with some ideas, submit your email, go and make a pot of coffee, have a cup of tea, whatever you do, come back, and you're probably going to have the email in your inbox by the time you get back. It's with your nice new assets. It's really good. One thing I would say is if anyone is using this for an interest check or anything that's going to make you profit or a group buy or anything like that, please donate to the designers of the site and the runners of the site. It's not something that's mandatory, but it really will help them improve the service and keep the site going. So yeah.
Yep, we should donate to this actually.
I think we should. Yes.
Let's do it. All right.
I will do. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll sort that out straight after the stream.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our next topic, which is a group buy for C3 Tangerine switches revision 2. Which is kind of interesting here. Can you tell us the difference between the revision 1 and the revision 2?
So revision 1 basically means that there's just a new type of switch. So the original Tangerines, way back in the day, we had Group Buy 1 and Group Buy 2. In Group Buy 1, you had the black base and milky top. In Group Buy 2, you had the black base, milky top, or you can have the SMD base and the milky top, which changes the sound profile of them. In revision 2, which is this Group Buy, which is technically the third Group Buy for these switches, we now have a silent version. But it is a very, very different switch. So if you still want the standard linear switch, it's still the black base, the milky top, and the orange stem. Really looking on that Hirose kind of feel for the switches mixed with a kind of a Nixie. That's kind of the look they're going for. If you go for the silent linear, it's a very, very different proposition. It's an all orange housing with a green stem. So this is a silent linear. It's a very, very different switch, so I'll be interested to see how they perform compared to the standard linear version. It's kind of I'm pausing here because it's kind of strange to me that they've not just put a silent stem in the original switch. They've kind of gone for a whole new colored switch, which is interesting.
Yeah. So the first thing I noticed right off the bat that kind of put me on edge a little bit is the price. So these are sold in packs of 10. $9 for one pack of 10 means that the normal version of the Switch is 90 cents a piece. The silent linear version is $10.50 for a pack of 10. So over $1 per Switch on this one for the silent version. So these prices are kind of up there a little bit. This is in line with what Zeal charges for linears and silent linears.
Yeah, so the prices aren't exactly cheap. Yeah, it's an interesting price for the switches. 90 cents per.
Wait, hold on. Upas is saying the prices are in SGD, not USD. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
My apologies, and I'm actually going to do a quick conversion, just so we can kind of see what this is. So apologies on that, guys. All right, so $9, 9 Singapore dollars is $6.64 in U.S. dollars. So about 66 cents a piece, right? Yeah, 66 cents a piece for the normal version.
Yeah.
And then the silent version is $7.75. So still pretty up there. This is definitely more expensive than most other recolored Gatorons on the market. So.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about it. Yeah. They're all right. I think for me, the interesting thing here isn't really around the price. It's more around the fact is why is there a different housing for the silent version of the Switch rather than the standard version? I'm not quite sure I understand why that decision's been made, but I'm interested to try them out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if we're being honest, it's a recolored Gatoron, right? Like, how different can it be from other Gatoron offerings at this point? Nothing's really changing here. It's probably not going to be terribly different from the Silent Inks. It's probably not going to be a whole lot different than like Helios. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Dixie's saying it actually says $7 on his screen right now. I've literally just refreshed the site, Dixie. I'm here in the UK, and it says $9 for me here in the UK. So
yeah, same for me. I just refreshed as well.
I'll repaste the link in. I think we're on a different website. Maybe that's why. No, we're on the Singapore website, which is the Island KB one, which is the only one that was available when we filled out our news doc. I didn't realize there was one on the Key Company as well.
Okay, yeah. So bam. Now I'm showing the Key Company version, which is about in line. So it's the linear version is $7 for a pack of 10, so 70 cents each. Silent linear $8, so that's 80 cents a switch. Yeah. So nothing really changes there. That's what we were kind of seeing anyways. Kind of expensive for a recolored Gatoron, but I don't know. Is this justified? Do you think people will happily pay this price, or do you think this is maybe a little bit too expensive?
What I would say is that I think Tangerines, because they were the first recolored Gatoron really to come out, or the first one that made it popular, they've probably got a bit of a cult following now, and that milky top does change the sound profile. So I think they're probably worth a little bit more than some of the standard Gatoron recolors. Where we really need to see the differences on this silent version. Again, the fact that it is a different housing will make it sound different anyway, or make it feel different too, and we'll need to test them to see why the decision was made to use the whole orange housing rather than just the black and milky top. It is really an interesting decision. I'm not quite sure why that decision was made, but I keep going back to it because it's just confused the hell out of me. Ever since I saw this interest check the other day, it's just really confused me.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully there is some kind of serious improvement or something, because I do feel these are a little too expensive. 70 cents a switch for the normal Tangerines, the non-silent version, that's easily over twice as expensive as other Gatoron offerings. It's more expensive than most other, even the recolored ones, which usually launch around like 45 to 65 cents, or 55-ish cents. So I don't know. This seems a little odd to me.
I don't know. I'm going to pick up 70 of each anyway, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
The silent one looks really cool, though.
Oh, it does. I think it looks really good. Yeah, and I know that Blind Assassin just posted in chat. He said that it's designed to look like a tangerine, so you've kind of got the green leaf on top and then the whole tangerine underneath, and it looks cool. It does look good. It does look good. Let's get some, try them, see what we think.
Cool. All right. We shall do that. All right, and now the last item of discussion on our news doc is also a pretty hefty one. So,
oh man, yeah.
This is it's a really cool topic though, right? So,
it is.
This is a little write up, little article written by HaaTa, who is one of the designers, one of the kind of engineers at Input Club. If you weren't aware, he's an incredibly nice guy. I've spent a lot of time with him in person. Brilliant man. He's like absolutely a freaking genius, and it really comes through in the way he carries himself in conversations. But if you guys maybe have been living under a rock, something that we talked a little about a few episodes back, Input Club is launching a new line of switches that will come out on some keyboards that they are doing in the very near future. And that line of switches is called the Silo. And there are 3 versions. There is the Silo Bream, which is supposed to be kind of a translation of the beam spring switch, which is really, really popular in the community for a lot of vintage collectors and keyboard enthusiasts. Beam spring is iconic. Most people that try it seem to absolutely fall in love with it. So, he's trying to do kind of a rendition on that. There are also 2 other versions. There is the Silo Command, which is the tactile version, and there is the Silo Control, which is the linear version. He doesn't really talk about the tactile or linear versions too much in here. He focuses mainly on the clicky beam spring alternative. So this is pretty interesting. So he's going to be he talks a little about it. It does use the Hall effect sensing, which does offer a 1 billion press lifespan, which is pretty darn high. It is unnecessarily high, but I mean that's kind of what you do, because the whole design here is that it's not like another MX switch. There isn't a contact leaf. It's all Hall effect analog sensing, which I believe is the first time those two come together. But
as far as I'm aware, it's really interesting though, because
it's state of the art. It's as far as key switches goes, it's state of the art, guys.
So some of the upshots of this are, it means no soldering, because you don't need to solder these in. You'll just clip them into your plate and they'll rest against PCB and away you'll go. There's no pins on the bottom, so there's no need for hot swap or anything like that. They're technically hot swap by their nature, because you can just plug them out of the plate and pop them in. As Brian said, there's no contact leaf, so the linear versions of these at the very least should be incredibly smooth, because there's just the stem and the spring, and that's kind of it in the housing. There's no leaf or contact for scratch or anything there, so these lubed are going to be really interesting. And then in terms of the top itself, it's got a really interesting design. So they're still designed to be compatible with Cherry MX keycaps, but they've kind of gone halfway through the box solution, but not fully. So there's kind of like 2 angle pieces that go around the edge of the cruciform, which is really, really interesting. It kind of almost hugs the keycap on there. So I think this is just a really, really interesting design. As you say, state of the art. This is something that's brand new to the community. It's something that's just really interesting, something that's going to be dead interesting for us all to try. And I can't see, any disadvantages of this at the minute. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what these switches feel like, type like, and what the user experience is like.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys, maybe have some time and this is something that actually interests you, you guys should definitely read through this thread. He does a great job explaining a little bit of history behind the beam spring, why you might like it, how it works, and how he's trying to translate that over into the silent beam switch. It's an incredibly good read. Every time I read something that's written by HaaTa, I just freaking fall in love all over again. Really good stuff. So he has this kind of it's kind of a crude GIF, but it kind of shows you how beam spring is supposed to work. So there's actually like a 2 kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not really so it's like a sheet metal here. Like this is a sheet of metal over here that I'm showing on screen right now, and then this is another piece that kind of interlocks with it, and they both kind of bend as this presses down, and that's how you get the kind of that nostalgic beam spring experience. And he actually, this is kind of interesting. So he has all the force curves for beam spring and the Silo Bream. So it's looking pretty interesting. It looks like, judging by these force curves, it looks like a relatively smooth switch, honestly, which is unsurprising since no contact leaves and stuff like that. And look at how smooth this tactility is. This curve is like otherworldly smooth. If you're not used to reading force curve graphs, this is a pretty smooth tactile event here, which is really interesting. So I'm looking forward to this. I am going to ask for samples. He does actually have physical prototypes already. These are manufactured by Kale. So this is pretty cool. I'm not gonna play this with audio, but he does have a little comparison here. I'm gonna be honest, it's a really bad comparison because he's using the switches on like a bare PCB, not soldered in or anything, on top of like a table. So it's like it's just about like the worst case scenario for a sound comparison as you can get. But there is still one here. I wouldn't really trust this particular sound comparison, but I do want to get some of these and try to get some out. And,
for sure. I'm really excited to try these and see what they feel like, and just experience them, because it is something that's so new, and it's something that's so departed from what we're used to in MX switches or Topra, or any other kind of switch, Alps or anything else that we're traditionally used to in the community. That it's just going to be really interesting. And as you say, the force curves graphs are so interesting, just in terms of how that event happens. Incredibly smooth and incredibly unique. I don't think we've seen anything that's even close to that in terms of a graph before in the community.
Yeah, this is going to be quite different. I mean, HaaTa knows what he's doing. Let's just say that he really likes to kind of push the boundaries on like what keyboards should and should act like. We've seen that in the past with the Halo switch line and the Hako switch line, which some of you guys might not be a fan of those switches, but when they came out, like the theory behind them was way better than like anything else we had going on in the market, because he really tries to push the ergonomic benefits of keyboards and how you're supposed to type on them, compared to what a lot of us just kind of do pretty barbarically, if I'm honest. But I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to not only the beam version, but I'm also looking forward to the tactile and linear versions as well. Curious to see how those are going to play out. But supposedly, if you're into beam spring, this could be a cool MX alternative for you. Obviously, the downside is you can't just put these on existing MX PCBs. That's just not how it works. It's going to use custom stuff, which they are launching first at using the Keystone line of keyboards that we talked about a little while back on the show.
Yeah, and $100 price is the expected target for these boards as well. So to try this new technology in what might not be classed as a high-end custom, which is fine, but some new technology in a board for $100, well worth picking one up just to try it and see what you think to the switches. I, for one, will certainly be grabbing one of these and trying it out. And
absolutely.
That kind of price point, there is no reason for people in the community like Brian and I to not try this board out. And certainly, if people are interested in, it's at a price point where people can try it without too much investment. And let's see how these turn out, because they're very promising. I think they're very promising.
I mean, this kind of switch technology is the future. It really is. Like what we use now, like our standard MX switches, which have the contact pins and the actuation leaf and whatever. This is decades old technology, many decades old. Like moving forward, analog, Hall effect sensing, infrared, that kind of stuff. That is all the future. Optical, yeah, exactly. All of that is the future of switches, guys. That's where our community is eventually moving towards. So it's kind of cool that we get earlier glimpses of this. Definitely, and I did actually have a talk with Andrew, the CEO of Input Club, about the Keystone line when he first talked about it. He gave me a few insider tips and information, and he did say that while it is launching first on the Keystone line, he does want to try to start slowly porting it over to other things that are considered maybe a little bit more higher end, as opposed to just like a plastic case TKL and full size, which are both going to be options at the beginning. So
offering the PCBs out will be amazing for the community if we can just try and build our own stuff around this solution as well. It'd be fantastic to be able to accommodate that and look at it in a little bit more detail. I'm really excited by this.
I am beyond excited for this. I really do think this is going to have a ton of potential.
One of the nicest switches I've ever tried from a linear perspective is actually a FlareTech Red, which is the one of the analog switches that are in the routing boards. Because again, there's no contact leaf in those, and it's a very different solution to these. But there's no contact leaf, and it's basically an optical switch. It uses light to determine how far you press and depress, and you can adjust the actuation point and all sorts of stuff. Those switches, once you put a tiny bit of lube on them, are so smooth, it's unbelievable, because there is no contact points inside the switch other than the spring and the house side. They're so much smoother than anything we've got from an MX.
They really are, too.
Now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So I think this will be, even smoother given the design of these as well, or potentially even smoother given the way that these are designed. So I'm dead excited to try this out.
Keep your eyes on this, guys. This is the future. This is where we're moving towards. This is just the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, it does that finishes our news doc for this week. It does mean that we're now going to jump over into our sponsor segment. So for the next few minutes, we're going to tell you about all the fantastic offerings from our sponsors. First up this week, we have got NovelKeys. So Mike from NovelKeys, one of our longest supporters. Mike's got a number of different things up here on the site this week. First thing I want to call out is that the linear switches are in stock now. So those that bought them in the group buy, whether you bought them from any of the vendors that supported the group buy for this, they are now in stock. You can go pick these up. They're incredibly cheap because it's been run with very little profit, which was fantastic for the community. So if you are interested in those recolored Gatoruns, go check those out. As well, GMK Metropolis is still up at the minute for group buy as well. So if you are interested in this key set, it has hit MOQ for all of the kits now, from what I understand.
They're on track for 1,000 base kits, last I checked.
Which is unbelievable, yeah. But even the Midnight Signs and the blocks, they've all hit MOQ from what I understand. But 1,000 base kits is going to be huge. It's going to be probably the biggest set off of Mastrop, I think, even bigger than Bento potentially. The group buy runs until April 25th, so just under a week left. So if you are interested, you've got just under a week left. You can also check out mykeyboard.eu if you're in the EU for this key set as well. But NovelKeys is the group buy runner for the Americas. So go check that out if you want to support them. And then finally, there's also the Fae switches as well, which are on NovelKeys as well. So this is another recolored Gatoron switch, but this one has the milky top, so slightly different sound profile. So if you're interested in those, please do go check them out. This is round 2 of those switches. And finally, the last thing I want to say is if you are going to use NovelKeys, you can use our promo code for 5% discount, which is Clack. That's Clack this week. And if you want to see how to spell that, you can check that on the announcements page on the Top Clack Discord.
Yep, absolutely. Next up, we have Kono.store, where you can find all sorts of products from Input Club. They're running what seems to be a ridiculous amount of group buys right now. I swear it just piles on more and more as I look at it. But one of those is going to be SA Granite, which is a set that we covered a while back, and it looks pretty darn nice, and it has a pretty good price tag attached to it as well. So if you're into SA keycaps, Granite is more of your thing, then there is definitely that. You can also still join the group buy for GMK 9s, which is looking pretty nice. I'm pretty sure I'm going to order this in the next couple days. So pretty hyped about that. They do still have other things available, like GMK Lime and the Kira Stealth. But also, make sure you're joining this waitlist for the Keystone line, guys. Like we were just talking about with the Silo switches earlier, that's where it's going to hit first. So this is going to be the debut keyboard for that. So make sure to check that out as well. Join that waitlist. Probably won't be disappointed.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to Zeal PC or Zeal Generation this week. First thing I want to mention, guys, is we do have our sponsor code, so our affiliate link, by using zealpc.net/TopClack, which is the link I've pasted into chat. You can support both Zeal, yourselves, and TopClack the show. We get a small kickback from Zeal for everyone who uses that link, so please do consider that buying it from Zeal. In terms of his lineup, as always, it has a stellar V2 line, so if you're looking for a tactile Zealio V2 switch or the silent version thereof, they're all now up on Zeal's sites. You can go and buy them at the moment. There's some of mine and Brian's favorite tactile switches on the market right now. They're very premium, very smooth, really tactile, almost unbelievably so. If tactile's not your thing, then maybe perhaps a silent linear is, and the Securio and Roselio extras are now up for sale on the site as well. So if you're looking for a Helio that's recolored to be pink, then those are available right now. If not, and orange is more your thing, then do feel free to look for the Helios directly. And then the final thing I wanted to draw attention to on Zeal sites right now is if you like the Zeno, if you like Pona, if you like Ion keycaps, if you like Rama, there is the Rama by Ion aluminium keycap up for sale, which is, as we know, it's Brian's favourite design on a Rama cap that he's seen.
It is.
It's genuinely lovely. Pona's logo, though, is spot on. It's a really great design. Yeah. It's now dropped down in price as well. It's only $40. So if you guys are interested in owning one of these premium keycaps, please feel free to do it. And as always, remember the Top Clack affiliate link.
Absolutely. Last but not least, we have KBDfans, who you probably are you're probably aware that they're running the group buy for the KBD 8X right now, the Mark II, which has been looking pretty darn awesome for the price, if I do say so myself, starting at $250. Then you can add a plate for just a little bit more, not too much more. You still get out of the door for a little under $300, which is pretty darn nice. Very premium looking board with lots of cool options. You got that brass full plate, or you got the polycarbonate half plate and stuff. Lots of mixing and matching colors going on as well, which is pretty awesome. I can't wait to try this out, man. We supposedly have a proto on the way. Really stoked for that. Hoping that that isn't too far away, because I'm impatient, man. I really am. They got other things going on as well. They have the group buy for the extended 2048 Enjoy PBT set, which you can pick up now. Actually, this link didn't work before, so like this group buy just started like during the show, which is pretty funny. So if you like Enjoy PBT and you like the extended 2048 PBT keycap set, you like those kind of AEK kind of style of Legends, and this is for you, then there you go. Base kit is only $75. That's pretty good, actually.
It's really good.
I haven't looked through this thread yet, because like it literally went up.
We'll be covering it next week on the show, guys. But it's worth bearing in mind that this was due to go up on the 19th, so it's now the 19th in China. It's the 19th where I am, but where Brian is, it's not. So we are intending to cover it on next week's show, as well as that Biip new Panda Switch, the Biip. Switch that's on there as well. So we'll cover those next week. Don't worry, guys. We do know of them. We'll cover them next week on next week's show.
Yep, and also maybe group buy for the Enjoy PBT Kuroshiro key set, which is designed in part with Gawk. And this is a set I've been definitely on the lookout for. It looks pretty darn nice. You have an option for a really cool Rama brass cap there, and the base kits. It's really well laid out. You can get it for a pretty darn reasonable price, under $100, to get your mixing and matching of base alphas plus mods. So definitely hop into that if Black and White and Hiragana Legends are more your thing. Definitely check those out. All right, guys.
Excellent.
Let us move over to the final segment of our show, as usual, the Q&A, question and answers, guys. So if you guys have questions for us about anything, ask them now. Hopefully we have answers. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But we will definitely try our darndest, as usual. If you use the @TopClack tag, that helps us see them way easier. So please do that.
The first thing I want to call out is Droke posted a while ago asking me if I could upgrade my microphone as it hurts his ears. I do apologise. It's not the microphone. We have to use Discord compression because I'm in the UK and Brian's in the US. So we have a Discord chat and Brian pulls the audio from there. My mic is, pretty high quality, and it's very different when you hear me on the streams where I do build streams. So my apologies for that. It's a limit of the technologies we have to use, unfortunately.
Because your mic is actually good. You have a good mic.
Yeah, it's a good quality mic.
Your mic is as good or better than mine, and it's just like you said, Discord compression. We're not in the same room, so we can't use the same technology. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
We're not even within 50 miles or 100 miles or 1,000 miles. I think it's about 6,000 miles difference.
So for being like well across the world, I'd say we're doing pretty okay.
Pretty good. Yeah. The reason why Mike's good is from Brian's perspective is because he's using it live and you're hearing him live. My audio is all coming through Discord, being compressed through Discord. Then it's going into Streamlabs OBS, being compressed again there, and then you're hearing it over on Twitch. So there's a lot of stuff happening between me speaking and you actually hearing it on stream. So I do apologize for that.
Yeah, we do what we can. I mean. Well, maybe one day Jay and I can live together and we can have our own little Top Clack studio and we can always be live together. That would be adorable, wouldn't it? Cool. That'd be good.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Can you imagine just sat next to each other on the stream rather than being on the cameras and stuff? It'd be really cool. Yeah. Geo says, why did you like someone's top hat idea more than mine that was first at Top Clack? We didn't really like the top hat ideas, if I'm honest. Yeah, I didn't realize one of them was yours because we tried not to let usernames influence on what we. I don't
think Geo entered.
No, they did not. All right, okay.
I don't think he entered.
Okay, I don't have it open anymore to have a look. But Geo, we didn't look at usernames. We looked at the entries, so we didn't get. So we were completely impartial. So we didn't know who'd submitted what until until we actually had viewed them. So we didn't like any of the top hat entries particularly because of the top hats. If we liked the entries, it wasn't because of the top hats; it was because of the rest of the design.
No, he did enter. We didn't really care for his design. But yeah, we didn't judge based on who it was. Like, we didn't know like any of the names. We kind of just sorted by, we just opened all the links and we just talked about what we liked and disliked out of them.
Yeah.
So we didn't really learn like who did what basically until like after we had chosen what we liked.
Yeah, we picked the winners and then we went back and looked for the usernames. Yeah.
Yeah, Geo, come on, that was it was pretty low effort.
NP Spears says, at Top Clack, what keyboard and key set are y'all using right now? Personally, right now, I'm using the Satisfaction 75 from Canon Keys from UPass with GMK Chocolatier. So there you go, that's what I'm using right now.
Nice.
It's the first board that has displaced the JO1 from my desk, I'll be honest.
Wow, okay. That
was a very Owen Wilson, wow, that needed. I like that.
Wow.
I like it.
I'm actually kind of swapping between two boards right now. Mostly I've been using this Prime E prototype that I did a build stream for just a few days back. I'm trying to get a little bit better at this layout and such, because I'm, being an improper typist, it's a little bit more of a learning curve for me than someone that might be better at typing properly. So I've been using
cute as hell,
it is. It really is a fun board. I like this a lot, and I've actually been adapting to it a little bit faster than I was expecting. Even so, like I put up a typing test like yesterday or the day before, and I'm definitely not like my fastest on it, but I'm not particularly slow either, I feel like. So I've been using this mostly just to try to learn it and put out some cool typing tests. I'm going to be swapping. I have some stock Gateron inks in here now. They do feel nice, but I do plan on swapping these out with some lube switches as well and redoing a typing test, because a lot of people are asking like what it sounded like, because it does use a pretty thick integrated plate, which can induce some ping. So there's trade-offs there, but that's for another time. What I'm actually using literally right now is the T60 that you sent me. And I got a polycarbonate plate in there, 1.5 mil, hot swap, PCB. This is kind of like my test bench right now, just because of standard layout. Keycaps, these are the UV printed ones from Sea Frontier. I don't remember the actual name of them, but they're kind of like a mix and match thing. They're really awesome. This actually might be like one of the best value products I've ever seen in the community. You get,
aren't they like $40 or something?
It's $40 if you get the extra kit. So like, there's a base kit for $35, then there's an extra kit for like $5 more or whatever, and that covers like a lot of like very standard kind of ONZ stuff. But it's pretty nice. Cherry profile, ABS. The legends are really, really good. Like, they're practically GMK accurate. So that kind of blew me away, and they feel awesome. It's like this nice smooth ABS. I've been using them a lot. I've been absolutely loving them. I'll probably pick up like fucking 30 more sets, just because, why not? But
why not? Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm using right now.
Cool. Okay. Next question then comes from SleepOK8 that said, "What's your opinion on the new koala switches on KBDfans?" These are the new Biip switches. We'll cover them on the show next week. Because they went up while we've been live. Brian and I haven't had a chance to have a look at it, but we will cover them next week. So yeah, we'll tell you next week. Watch the show next week, and you'll find out.
Yeah. We'll put it in the news doc right after the show. We'll talk about it next week. Easy peasy, guys. Yeah,
nice and easy. NP Spears says, "Did you cover all the Holy Pandas back on MD on Mass Drop?" No. The whole thing with the pandas is it's they've been out there so many times. The Holy Pandas have been done to death. The group buy is back up again, yeah, but we covered it off last time. We covered it off right at the top of the show that Brian's expecting some samples for it. I think that's about all we need to do in terms of the Holy Panda Gate now. It's any more coverage would be disingenuous, I suspect.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put out some kind of piece once I get the production Mass Drop Holy Panda samples, but I'm gonna guess they're gonna feel just like the Holy Panda production prototypes that they sent me, and I'm gonna guess that they're all Holy Pandas.
They're gonna feel like a Holy Panda.
That's what I've been learning. I've gone through all the iterations so far, and they're all pretty much Holy Pandas.
Yeah. absolutely. Chewy asking when I'm going to build the TX60, the antique copper TX60, which I showed on the mail call earlier on, which is here, which is absolutely stunning and lovely, and I'm a big fan of. I don't know is the honest answer. So there is no build stream for me this Sunday. Unusually, there won't be one because I'm at the UK meetup. So I'm just not going to be around at home enough over the weekend to be able to prepare and lube switches and get ready to do a stream. So there'll be no build stream this Sunday. There will be a build stream a week on Sunday, and that will be one of two boards. It will either be the TX60 or it will be Ahab's all brass S7 Elephant board, which he sent to me to ask me to build for him.
Wow.
Again, I don't usually build boards for other people, but that board is an all brass board. It's like
you gotta see what that's like, yeah.
Exactly. When he was like, "Do you want to build it for me?" I was like, "Yeah, I do. Yeah, I will definitely have a look at that." So it depends on whether that gets to me before then or not. But it'll be one or the other a week on Sunday, and then it will be the other one the Sunday after. So yeah.
Cool. Lunar Sama asking very simply: Lube Xylence V2, thumbs up or down? I'm gonna say thumbs mostly up. So I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the Xylence. I think they feel incredible. I think they feel really good stock. I think they feel amazing lubed. There's this odd kind of sound with them, whether they're lubed or not, that I can't quite seem to get rid of. And I can't tell. I don't think it's the spring. I'm pretty sure it's the leaf. And maybe it's just because it's like too quiet that you're actually getting some kind of like reverb from the leaf.
Maybe,
but it doesn't sound particularly. It's quite quiet. It's very dampened. It's not like it's a loud noise by any stretch of the imagination. But there's like this little noise that just kind of bothers me.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I don't notice that, but then I'm quite a heavy typist, so I'm probably, quite clacky anyway. So my finger noise is probably loud enough to hide it. And plus, I've got them in the Zephyr, which is a click 5mm plate, which will dampen a lot of any sound.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. But yeah, no, thumbs up for me. I think they're good switches. Yeah.
I think they feel very good. Absolutely.
Yeah. Gio says he's messing with us. Didn't even turn in till after 10 p.m. EST. Oh right, okay. So you're winding this up. Okay. Yeah. Nebula saying don't leak that weight as well. Yeah, I didn't leak the weight on the S75. Don't worry, the Satisfaction 75. I haven't leaked it. It is going to be at the UK meetup, and I have to cover it with masking tape again. I've taken the masking tape off because I wanted to enjoy the look of it. But I'm going to have to put it back on again when I pack it. It's literally the last board to go in my tub. So I'm packed for the meetup because I'm setting off in the morning. Apart from that one board, that's going to be the last board that gets packed away, which is why the shelves are so empty behind me. Unusually, so yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, looks like questions were late today.
Just back to Talisman's post here. Said we didn't dislike your entry because it was yours. We disliked it simply because it was awful.
Yeah. Hey, I like Gio. Gio's a good guy. He's a friend. But man, was that a bad entry. What are you gonna do? It is what it is. Anyways, looks like we're actually caught up on questions, I think.
VP0 says we've missed his question. Did you tag us, VP0? We only usually get the ones that were tagged. I'm scrolling.
It's often too hard to scrub through chat without tags trying to answer questions.
He says, can you do TQFP or QFN assembly? I'm not quite sure I understand what that means.
I don't know either.
If VP0, if you can clarify what your question is, then we will absolutely answer it. So yeah, let us know. Kelly's come in with a question. Kelly, hey man, good listening. I caught the beginning of your stream. I had it on in the background earlier on whilst Brian and I were prepping. So good stream, dude. Who's Brass Elephant? It is Ahab's. So Ahab is in the Top Clack Discord. He's got an all brass Elephant S7 board that he shipped to me, and I'll be building it hopefully next week or the week after.
Okay. Bulba's saying a leadless IC package. Maybe they're talking about we were talking about the voice chat over how we just use Discord.
Okay, maybe there are better options. I don't know, but embedded MCUs as opposed to Pro Micros and whatnot.
Oh,
right. Okay. So what was the question again? I can't remember what the question was. Can you do Pro Micro or thingy something? Okay, yes, but I'm not great at it. Be honest, whilst I can do SMD soldering, I'm not the best at it or the fastest by any way, shape, or form. I generally leave it to Martin in the EU because he's far better and far faster than I am, and much neater as well. I don't know if you're any good at SMD soldering, Brian.
I'm passable at it, but I don't like to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not. I don't have like a rework station, like a hot air rework station. I don't have like an oven for it or anything. I know people like Heidi Bush have in the past used like a tabletop griddle, which I thought was kind of interesting. There are people way better than I am out there. I just do it with an iron, but I don't make a habit out of doing SMD work unless I absolutely have to, because
I do it with a mixture of.
It just takes too much time for me.
I'm too slow at it to find it worthwhile. I'd rather. Like with a lot of things, I would rather pay someone to do certain things for me. Like if I need something doing around the house, I'll generally, pay someone to do it. But if I need something doing on the car, I'll do it myself. SMD is kind of I'll pay someone else to do it rather than do it myself.
It's just time consuming. I'll almost always rather pay like $5 or $10 extra to have a PCB assembled for me.
For sure.
I have better things to do than SMD work on my own stuff personally. Or maybe I don't know. But I don't like doing it. It's not. I don't find SMD soldering fun. It's very tedious for me.
Sure. Yeah, I completely agree. MP Spear says, "What was up with that MAGA April Fool's set?" So that was just my April Fool's joke for the community. It was basically written to pay homage to Donald Trump a little bit, but it was written as kind of a subliminal interest check, really. The whole interest check was written by absolutely 100% true Donald Trump quotes, and that was kind of like the idea behind it. And it was just to make a little bit of harmless humor and fun. That being said, a lot of people have been really interested in the set, including a number of vendors across the world, bizarrely, even here in the EU. There is a potential that it may be rebranded, and there may be an interest check coming soon for GMK Americana. So rather than making fun of Donald Trump, it's more of a case of celebration of all of things that are American and that whole kind of Americana collectability and things, because you guys have this amazing thing in America where you have toys and flags and accoutrements and mugs and all sorts of stuff that really celebrate what America's all about, and we don't really have that in the UK. It's kind of like we in the UK we have our counties and we kind of lock ourselves off, and we don't really like other counties, and that's kind of how it is. Whereas in the US,
I can't tell if you're trolling me or not.
no, I'm being genuine. No, I don't. I hope this doesn't come across as a troll. I'm being honest and genuine. American culture, you've got this whole pop culture thing that you've kind of cultivated over the past 50, 60 years from movies and everything else. And you do. Everyone's kind of patriotic and things, and it's GMK Americana is going to pay homage to that rather than being the jokey set that it started out as. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. VP0 is asking opinions on chocks. I'm assuming he means the KL low profile chock switches. In which case, I've spent very minimal time with them. I have tried them on a few different boards. I think they're okay. I don't think they're as good as full travel mechanical key switches, but as far as if you absolutely have to have a low profile switch, I think they're fine. Yeah.
I would rather have them on a laptop than a standard laptop keyboard, I'll be honest. Yep. I've actually been playing around with them. I've been 3D printing some keycaps for them rather than buying the ones that are out there. My experiments haven't been going great, I'll be honest. There's quite a lot of detail to get in the prints, and they're quite flimsy in the end. But to be honest, it's all right. They're passable. They're not bad switches by any way, shape, or form. I just prefer a full MX switch, I think, to be honest with you.
Yep, same.
Next question then from Matt Clack. It says, have you guys tried Signature Plastics DCS profile? If so, how does it compare to Cherry profile? I suspect we've both tried it over the years. I've got a few DCS profile key sets. I've got the original OG DCS Hyperfuse and DCS Twilight as well.
Nice.
Yeah. It's not on a board, and I don't think I haven't had it on a board for a long time. But yeah, so I've got those two. It's thinner than GMK, and the profile's closer to OEM than Cherry, I would guess. but I haven't compared them side by side for a long time. I wouldn't want to profess to know any more.
Yeah, the way I've owned and used several DCS sets in the past. I don't have one on me, so it's been a while since I've used it. But I found the sculpt is a little bit more aggressive, particularly towards the bottom row. It to me, it's a little bit more reminiscent of Topra profile.
Oh, okay.
It sculpts pretty hard on the row 4. You might like, you might not. I think it's very similar to GMK. Maybe slightly tall. It's slightly taller on row 1, and it's slightly more sculpted on like row 4 or whatever.
Sure.
But other than that, it's relatively similar to GMK Cherry profile, aside from just being a much thinner keycap, which you may like or dislike. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's worse quality. Don't think that. I hate when people think that. DCS sucks because it's thin. It's bad because it's thin.
That's not true.
That's not how this works. That's not how this works at all.
No. Depending on what board you put them on, they can sound really, really nice, to be honest. I remember using the Twilight set on some of my old boards, and I really enjoyed it. So, well worth looking at. Do you know what? I'm kind of sad that we don't see sets running in DCS profile anymore. We don't have interest checks where it's all GMK. It'd be kind of nice.
Because everyone thinks that they're bad because they're not as thick as a GMK keycap.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a fair thing, but I think that's probably a short-sighted view of keycaps and the potential of them.
You can absolutely dislike it for being that way, but that doesn't mean it's a bad product because it's that way.
Yeah.
And I wish more people understood that.
Yeah, agree. Okay. Sleep OK 8 says, are the remaining parts after making Holy Pandas even usable as a Switch? Well, I mean, they're usable. I mean, I wouldn't choose them, but
particularly good. But
you could make a workable Switch. Yeah, you could use it. Yeah. Osiris TV says, now we just need a board with a bald eagle brass weight. To go with GMK Americana. Yeah, maybe. I'll have to have a think about that.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're caught up.
That's it. Yeah, it's probably a good time to close it out too, so we don't roll over 3 hours like we. Kind of have been sort of lately.
Well, it's 20 to 5 in the morning here, and I've got to be up at 9 o'clock to get on a train to London, which is about a 3-hour train ride for me, and an hour in a taxi to the train station as well, just so I can go to the UK meetup. And I still haven't finished packing, so it is a good time to finish the show.
All right, guys. So thank you guys so much for checking out the stream today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you like this kind of content, make sure to follow, subscribe, and check us out more. Links below the stream. Official Discord server if you want to join that, hang out with us, talk to us about keyboards or whatever. There's something for everyone there. YouTube channel is also linked down below. And that's where you can find our VODs and typing tests, among other things. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I know it's been a long episode, and we've been doing a lot of long episodes lately. And for that, I'm sorry. A lot of people like that, but a lot of some people probably don't also. But we appreciate you guys sticking with us. I know it can be a long ride.
The news is the news, right? If the news is there, we'll cover it. If it's not, then we'll have a short stream. It's simple as that. But yeah. We're going to close out there, guys. I'm going to go get some sleep. I'll be spreading a lot of pictures from the UK meetup on Discord and on Instagram over the weekend. So do watch out for those and take a look. I might even do a quick little live stream because this is the other thing as well. I'm doing Top Clack live apparently at the meetup. I've got a 15-minute slot where I've got to get up on stage and talk.
Cool.
So yeah, okay. I'll be doing that. And Kelly, I'll say hi to Zondat for you. Don't worry, I'll definitely say hi. I'm actually taking a board for him to borrow. He doesn't have any of his own 268 boards to take, so he's asked if he can borrow mine to take.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Yeah, he asked for the T60 as well, and I had to tell him you'd still got it, Brian. So.
Oh well. My bad.
It's fine. I'm completely not expecting it to come back. So yeah.
Anyways, last but not least, guys, shout outs to all of you guys showing up and watching. We greatly appreciate all of you guys that sub to the Twitch channel, all of you guys that donate subs or donate bits, cheer, whatever, all that. All helps monumentally, and we are extremely grateful for it. So thank you all so much that support the stream one way or the other. You guys are amazing, and thank you so much, seriously, from the bottom of our hearts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And remember,
take care, guys.
Don't lose your way.